Old man, mic test, mic test, mic test. Somebody please confirm the audio. What a night. What a night. Make sure the audio is working here. Someone just hit me in the chat. Just say audio is working so I don't ramble for a long time on mute somehow. You guys are chatty tonight. It's amazing what a big W on the road does. Someone just confirm audio, please, please. Someone, anyone. Bueller, thank you for those that responded. First, let me say cheers, my friends. Tonight, we're going with the surf side. We got an iced tea and lemonade vodka and a regular variety. We got one of each here, so these will be the beverages of choice for the evening. The crack just sounds so much. Big 2 points to the boys. Cheers to all of you fine gentlemen, and probably maybe one woman, if any. But welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the New Jersey Devils looking to bounce back big in the nation's capital tonight, coming off of a home opener stinker, go down to Washington, D.C., and beat the Capitals by a score of 5-3. My friends, what a night. What a night. Not the prettiest of wins, but 2 points is 2 points. There's a lot to get to within this contest. But first, let me just start off by saying, what a game. Another amazing game for the new additions. What a game for Stefan Nason. And obviously, my man.
Paulie. Yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Paulie.
Paulie! What a game for Paul Cotter. This guy is everything we could have dreamed of and more. You know your boy Ace in my preseason prediction video predicted a career season breakout year for him, and I believe I predicted 41 points. I apologize, Paul Cotter. Accept my apology, because obviously with this start, the 41 points seems like I sold him completely short. Completely short, but what a game for Paul Cotter. And obviously I also have to mention Eric Halla with a 3-point night. And wow, bumping Cotter up to the third line was just what a nice little tweak by Keith. Palat dropped to the fourth, and they produced. They produced chances nonstop, and they were flying. And I'm going to get to some of these lines in a minute, but what a game for the boys. Dawson Mercer starting, his Iron Man streak, 250th career game tonight for him. Hasn't missed a game in his young career. 8th longest active streak in the National Hockey League. And then another random stat they flashed up that I thought was interesting. I just kind of forgot about. We were 21-18-2 on the road last season, 11th in the league. But let's just get to the game. The new fourth line, Bastian, Lazar, Palat, they draw an early penalty. The power play looked terrible, as it did all night. Sheamus Casey kind of made a sloppy play deep in our own end. Not a great play by him, but it's going to happen. And then on the second we had another power play that we did nothing with. Another hustle play by Halla late on the power play for us. The Capitals, I kind of came in on a 2-on-1, and I'm like screaming, dive. And Halla at the last minute dove to take away the passing lane. Absolutely beautiful, and forced the guy with the puck to take the shot. What an absolute hustle play by Halla. But yeah, Carlson on the power play. It was the first time our penalty kill failed all season. Carlson just blast ones from the point, and Markstrom, with Tom Wilson in his face. Nice screen. And not much you could do there. Bratt sprung Jack for a beautiful breakaway that looked like he missed the net on first glance, but Lindgren got a piece of it. I'm curious if it was hard to tell even on the replays because the type of shot it was. I don't even know if that would have been, a goal or not. But what else do I have noted down here? Siegenthaler constantly shooting into defenders. But let's talk about the emergence of my man Sheamus Casey. This kid must be in the lineup at all costs. I don't think you could send him down, Ross. I'm glancing at chats. I just think his offensive upside and his awareness, he's still going to be a little timid, guys. This is only his 4th NHL game. I just think with that shot that he has, I don't know. I think it's going to be very hard to send him down. I just think he's now emerging as a guy that, if we have to make space, someone else has to get forced out before him. But what a sick shot by the young Sheamus Casey. Beautiful power play. Or that wasn't my bad. That was a even strength. Beautiful shot by Casey. His second of the year, and he's got 2 more goals than Jack Hughes. Who would have thought that through 4 games? I mean, obviously still early, but then late in the first, Cotter. I mean, Cotter is just what an emergence. What an emergence of Paul Cotter. I can't talk enough about this guy. Devils with a 2-1 lead after 1. Happy to go into the locker room with the lead, obviously, after being down. Strome gets one immediately on the first shift in the second period to tie it up. I thought, oh boy, I hope this is not going to be another meltdown night, but Tuna, baby. Tuna with a great second chance effort. A lot of people are down on Tatar. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how he fares throughout the season, but Tatar with with a guy draped all over him. Amazing second chance effort to get that goal. He was pumped up. Devils regain the lead 3-2, and then Cotter strikes again. That third line is dangerous. I don't see how, at this point, it seems like that, that's a very good combination. But again, I'm going to get to the lines in a little bit because I might have grander plans for Paul Cotter. But wow, what a line. Devils take the 4-2 lead, go to the third. And again, very early, not as early this time, but a minute 35 in, Tom Wilson gets one, cuts it to 4-3. And that's how it was down the stretch until Mercer puts them away in the empty net. But I'm just looking at some random notes. I'm kind of a scatterbrain here. Liked Kovacevic going after Dubois after that. I think it was bullshit that we still didn't, and we still should have ended up with a power play because, Dubois gave Meyer a little bit of an extra. Kovacevic went in and just roughed him up a little bit, and then Wilson tackled him from behind. So those should have been offsetting minors. We still should have ended up on the power play. They definitely screwed us there. I thought that was complete BS. Total BS. And then I'm looking at third period. Oh yeah, third period. Bratt took that penalty that he definitely could have avoided on the power play, and the freaking Capitals killed off I feel like it was almost a minute of the clock to get the longest power play possible. They were just playing keep away, and I was like, go get the friggin' puck. That was crazy, completely crazy. And on that ensuing power play, Siegenthaler made a monster block. He just slid across an 8-1, completely just laying it on the line to preserve the lead. Monster block by Siegenthaler. Great kill. I thought the fourth line had some good pressure at moments. There was definitely a shift in the third period where they kind of had the Caps on their heels and pinned deep. Love to see that, obviously, from your fourth line. Markstrom had some big saves. And then, at the end of the game there, Nico knew he was going to get crushed. He absolutely got crushed by Ovi to make that play for Mercer to get the empty net, and sacrificing the body. Picks up the assist, gets crushed, gets Mercer his first goal. Oh, yeah. Please hit the like for the win. Thanks, guys. Thumbs up. Let's hit the like. Takes 2 seconds. It costs you $0.00. But what a night to be a Devils fan. And I guess my main takeaways from this game were honestly, not the prettiest of wins. There's tons of stuff we still have to work on. We were still very sleepy and looked like shit in our own end on several occasions where guys were just kind of looking around. Hopefully we're going to tighten that up. We got away with it tonight, but there was tons of plays where I thought, you got to get that out. There was the one play, I think it was on the Wilson goal where Cotter was kind of tripped up and he had a chance to kind of hit it from seated on the ice. And maybe a couple other guys had a chance. Then it ends up on Wilson's stick and he rips it. You can't give teams extra offensive zone time because of failed clearing attempts. Just get it out. It doesn't have to be the prettiest. Just get the friggin' puck out. Definitely sloppy in our own end. Again, on several occasions, not as often as we were the last game, but nonetheless, that's got to get cleaned up. You got to take care of the puck in our D zone. And sometimes you just got to chip it the hell out of there and not try to make too fancy of a play. But overall, not the prettiest win, but a win is a win. They found a way to win. Big matchup with the Caps in DC. The boys get it done. Markstrom, I thought, looked a little shaky at times. I still think he's kind of settling in, but he made a ton of big saves to preserve the game when it mattered. A lot of good shots on goal throughout for Washington. Let me just see. We're going to take a look at the game stats here. Devils 33 shots on goal, Caps with 32. Devils winning the face-off department 58.2% to 41.8. Devils 0 for 4 on the power play. It's got to change. And we had two almost back-to-backs early in the first period. You got to score on one of those. You got to, 0 for 4 power play is not going to get it done. I thought the power plays looked pretty bad most of the time. That's got to improve. Caps 1 for 3 on the power play. Devils 18 hits, Caps with 20, Devils with 15 block shots, Caps with 18, Devils with 16 giveaways, Caps with 17, Devils with 3 takeaways, Caps with 8 takeaways. And my formula, block shots plus hits tonight, 18 hits, 15 block shots, 33, just short of that, a little bit short of that 40. Like to see more of both, but a win is a win. I can't complain too much. Obviously, Jack Hughes, not the best game again. I again, not to make excuses. I firmly believe that he is still, nursing an injury or, rehabbing from the surgery of some kind. He just looks off. Lots of turnovers. Just, it hasn't been a great start to the season, obviously, for him. And who would have thought, through 4 games that Paul Cotter would have 4 goals and Jack Hughes would have 0. I mean, wow. Quite the story coming out of the offseason. And who also would have thought that if I told you the two of the newcomers on the block, Stefan Nason and Paul Cotter, through 4 games, are leading this team with 5 points apiece. That's right, my friends. The newcomers, Stefan Nason and Paul Cotter, 5 points through 4 games for each of those boys, averaging 1.25 points per game. Get that Hart Trophy ready. Paul Cotter for Hart. I mean, wow. What a story. What a story. And that leads me into my next kind of point. And maybe some people might flame me for this. This could be a little bit of a hot take, but hear me out here. Hear me out. If General Keefe was willing to tinker with the lines a little bit, again, to me, juggling the lines up is not a sign of a panic button to me. It's just like, he's new. The system's new. It's still early on in the young season. We're going to shuffle some things up and see how it goes. So if he was willing to tinker with the 3rd and 4th lines, I'm ready to shuffle it up a little even more. I'm trying to shuffle it up a little more. And how I'm going to shuffle it up, I am rewarding Paul Cotter with a firm addition. Get ready for it, guys. I am giving Paul Cotter an audition on the first line. That's right, my friends. I am putting Cotter on the first line wing with Jack Hughes and Dawson Mercer, and that is my new first line for at least 1 game to see how it goes. And my second line would be made up of Bratter, Nico Hischier, and Timo Meier. That is my second line. My third line in these little shuffles would be Tatar, Haula, and Nason. Love Haula and Nason together. I think Tatar could possibly thrive on the wing with those two. And I would leave the 4th line intact of Palat, Lazar, Bastian. And I would be very curious to see, man, Paul Cotter, again, I was very upset when we made the trade just because I was rooting for Holtz. I thought he was going to live up to his draft status one day, maybe be a 25, 30 goal scorer for this Devils club. Always seemed like he was in Lindy's doghouse, and I was just rooting for him to, get a chance of some kind and maybe fulfill his potential as a Devil. It wasn't meant to be. They cut him short. And the same thing with Akira Schmid. Akira Schmid will always have a place in my heart, coming in, bailing us out in that Ranger series, getting the win, a Game 7 shutout. Akira Schmid, New Jersey Devils legend, stamped by Ace to me no matter what happens for the rest of his career. With that being said, Fitz must have saw all these highlight reels and clips of him doing deep dives, because after the initial shock wore off and my upset kind of subsided, I went down the rabbit hole of looking at every piece of video out there on the internet of Paul Cotter, and I was like, this kid shows flashes of brilliance. You see some of the moves, and it's just like, guys don't get lucky and make highlight reel plays like that where they're flying up the wing and weaving through people and just amazing finishes in tight. That's not a fluke. So if you see stuff like that, you're like, this guy obviously has some skill. Fitz saw it. Fitz believed in it, and he brought him in, and this kid is having a breakout year. I predicted 41 points. At this point, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think he's going to end up with 60. I mean, he could be a 60-point guy for us, which is insane. And obviously Vegas kind of believed in his potential too, because they didn't let him go cheap. So we didn't steal him like we stole Kovacevic. Vegas had an idea that he was going to be a player, but to this level, probably not. But I definitely give this kid has earned it. He seems like a great locker room guy. I mentioned on my pre-game show. He just seems like a great locker room guy. I have is it out there now? Oh no, it's coming out. No, it is out there. I'm going to put the link in here. I had a video of the team coming out of the locker room before they hit the ice before warmups. And Cotter seems like he's the life of the party. He's got secret handshakes and pounds and finger things, and they're blowing it up. He's got all kinds of, little celebratory things with his teammates as they come to the ice. It seems like he keeps them loose. And yeah, it just seems like he's one of those guys that everybody on the team loves. I think that all plays a factor. When I saw that, I was like, not only is he producing on the ice, it seems like he's a locker room chemistry kind of guy. I just dropped the link. You could check it out there when you have a down moment or whatever. But Paul Cotter, I would reward this kid. I mean, he's performed everywhere. He made the meat line look good. He came up to the third line in game 2 in Prague, scored a goal there on a beautiful pass from Jack. He's now bumped up to the third line again in this game, has 2 goals. I mean, what more does this kid need to do? I'm 100% giving him an audition on the top line. I would say I haven't seen enough from that top line right now to say after 4 games, other than it's only 4 games, right? And again, this is not a panic button thing to me at all. This is just a routine thing, especially for a new coach early on in the season, new system for everybody. Like, let's just try a few things and not commit to anything long-term just yet. He tinkered with lines 3 and 4 tonight. And for the next game, I'm going to say, you know what? Let's give this kid a look on the top line with Jack and throw Mercer on the other side and have Brat, Nico, and Timo. I always thought Brat, Nico, and Timo could be a force. And that just could be the right amount of tinkering to really get everybody going. But I do believe, Cotter deserves at least a shot. And I'd also give him a shot on the power play. I thought on that late power play that we may have seen Keith throw him out there on one of the units just to see. I mean, he did go with an unconventional unit. The first unit on that last power play was Mercer, Halla, Nason, Tatar, and Casey. So, I mean, that's not crazy to me either. Like, give him some more opportunities. I mean, he's earned it. He's out there playing like an animal every night. And to me, the sky is the limit for Paul Cotter. I 100% give him an audition on the top line because the top line hasn't produced nearly anything to say we can't mess with this. And so I would do a little trial. I would 100% do a little trial and see what Cotter could bring playing with Dawson and Jack. I think that could be very interesting. And again, I think that Timo, Nico Bratter line could be very good. And I think Tatar could kind of gel with Nason and Halla. Nason and Halla, I think, are going to be together all year. And you might see people, in that third spot rotated around. But I think Tatar could do well there. I would love to see it. But I definitely think now, I don't think it's a fluke, and obviously it's a hot start, and he's not going to sustain this level of production. But in the end, man, Paul Cotter is that dude, and he's been playing very hard and producing for this Devils club with 4 goals on the year. Wow, absolutely beautiful performance by Cotter. And like I said, Nason, can't say enough about him. Another kind of leader, been through the wars with Carolina, and he has a 3-assist night tonight, as does Halla. I mean, wow, talk about again. Another night where the top line does nothing. Another night where the top line does nothing, and you get goals from unexpected places. Another defenseman goal from Casey, Cotter with 2, and Tatar. And then Mercer on the empty net. That was nice to seal it. But in the end, the bottom 6 guys are the story of the day here, and you need games like this. The top line can't do it every night. Jack's still obviously off to a little bit of a slow start. I'm sure he's itching to get one badly, but on the nights when they're not going, you need the depth to come through. And we saw it tonight. Cheers to the depth, guys. And this is, again, the characteristics of teams that just have great regular seasons and deep playoff runs. Cheers. If you just came in here, I'm pumped. I am pumped. This was a huge 2 points, and we're going to be playing a hot Utah Hockey Club on Monday at home. And I'm hoping we see a little tweaks. I really do. And I really would like to see Cotter with a guy like Jack. We saw them connect. Jack had that beautiful cross ice pass to him in Prague. I think that could be an interesting line. Jack with Cotter and Mercer. I'd like to see it. And again, I also want to see, separately as a result of those moves, the Brat, Nico, Timo situation. Would like to see it. I think we may see some tweaks maybe for Monday or maybe not. That the third and fourth line I thought looked pretty good. And maybe Keith gives him the top 6 a little bit longer to try to figure it out. But again, I'm definitely giving Cotter an audition pretty much immediately. He's earned it, and I think, the more responsibility and ice you give this kid with the top skill guys, I think he could really produce. Just scanning through some of the some of our guys have some fire that they can hopefully keep on going for Monday. Other guys need to borrow a light. Yeah. I mean, not a great game for everybody, but you just need like I said, those unexpected depth guys to come through on some nights, and they did tonight. When the top two lines get their heads out of their asses, we are golden. I want to see the change. I really would like to see the little juggling, a little early season juggling. Really happy they won. Cotter is a stud. I'm really unhappy with the play of Hughes and Emmett. They both look terrible. I mean, a lot of people are down on Nemitz. Obviously, I do believe Jack is hurt. He just looks very timid and off. Just not everyone seems to be a sentiment from everybody. I'm glad to see they're able to close it out, but our first line is really off. Yeah, and that's why I'm here to campaign for the Paulie Cotter. Paulie Cotter for the top line audition.
Paulie. Yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Paulie.
Put Paulie on the top line and let's see what he could do. Kotechkin, I like it. Paul Cotter is winning the Hart Trophy. Book it. I mean, obviously that's very, the long shot of all long shots. And what a Rudy type story that would be. My God, that would be the most unlikely Hart Trophy winner in the history of the league, I believe. Select the boy. Cue the naughty by nature. Hey, ho. Jerome, all credit to Nico for that work along the boards there at the end. Yeah, absolutely. He knew he was going to get freight trained, and he saw it coming, and he was like, here we go. I'm going to get killed, but I'm going to get an assist here. And he flipped it up, and he got crushed. Puck's in the back of the net. Game over. Paul Effin Cotter is the story of the night, the story of the season thus far. Welcome back, Cotter. Welcome back. Collect record showing his age a little bit. Reference probably missed on a lot of the youngins up in here. Too cute with drop passes and deflections in the D zone. It's going to come back and bite them. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Cape Dweller, I thought, there was a bunch of times where it was like, just get the puck out. Get the puck out of here. We don't need to do these little cutesy. And I think that's going to come. And I think that's going to be a thing General Keefe is going to hone in on. Like, listen, you got to take care of the puck in our own end, and you can't be trying to get fancy. Sometimes the best play is just getting it out of there. Timo, Bratt, Dawson, and Siegs are the hungry ones at the top. Dougie gets an excuse for now. Other than that, it's our depth pieces and new additions that are putting in work. Absolute work. And it is crazy that thus far the top line, on the season has been an underwhelming start. Obviously, it's only 4 games. But the depth guys and specifically the new additions have been the story of the season. They're coming out with something to prove. Might have been the worst game I've seen Jack play. Always have faith, but man, oh man, stumbling, tumble, giveaway machine. Hope he snaps out of it of this injury soon. Yeah, I agree. I think there's something up. I think there's something up. But, resting guitar face with the drinking the red wine, IPAs for Cape Dweller. Steven Engel, what up? My man, Jack is hurt. He can't sprint full speed. It's possible. And it's really a shame. I mean, God, is he ever going to be healthy for 82 games and be at 100%? It just seems like he might be one of those guys that's plagued his whole career. I hope not, but it doesn't look great for him right now. It definitely seems like something's off. Of course, in addition to Dirty Devil Vodka and the Alpha and Omega of the Devils, RWJ Barnabas Health. Not the prettiest game, but I'll take it. We saw the team play more like they did in Prague, which is a good sign. Absolutely. I still think they looked better in Prague, at least in game 2. But, home opener for the Caps. I think it was their first game overall as well. Super energetic building, I'm sure. The buzz of the Ovechkin Gretzky pursuit, I'm sure, fresh on everyone's mind. It's a very exciting thing for Caps fans. And, we zapped them. They got out. And credit to the boys for not folding up. I still obviously have PTSD like a lot of you from last season. And it was like, once they got that first one, I was like, I hope it doesn't all just, crumble right here, because they jumped out to that 1-0 lead. And I was like, if we could get the next one, to go down 2-0 in an atmosphere like that wouldn't be ideal. Credit to the boys. They fought back, tied it up. On another word, I hate that Big Blue Prudential sponsorship. Why can't it be red and black? Yeah, absolutely. It would make it so much more tolerable if it matched the color scheme. To have this just random, blue patch on our red and black, just messing with the whole motif. I hated it, and I knew it was coming for years. Obviously, a lot of you know I'm a jersey snob. I collect a lot of game-worn jerseys, and I was always hoping that, the patch would never come, but if it did, that it kind of blended in with our jersey more so than it does now. And it's terrible. I absolutely hate it. Cheers from Savannah, Georgia. Great win. Great win indeed, Jerome. Ross, I think he has to be by now. We have a nose for when he's hurt. I mean, it seems to be like that's often. Oh, calm down, Steven. Some people want to, they want the jersey to look right. They don't want this, corporate greed on display, popping contrasting colors on the jersey. But yeah, we're here for the pucks. He's what I wanted Palat to be. Honestly, Pally looked great on the fourth line. Yeah, I thought he looked good there. And I think you're going to see that fourth line again next game. I'm curious to see what happens with the other three lines. And like I said, I am all for giving Cotter a shot on a top line with Jack, and I would probably put Mercer on the other side. And then I would like to see the Timo, Nico, Bratter line. I would like to see what that could do. Remember what you said about Cotter and Casey. You must feel really stupid right about now. I don't know who that's in reference to, per se. Jack needs to be benched until he's healthy. Effing Cotter, baby. He's an animal. How about Tatar? Not bad. Great second effort by Tatar there. All the credit in the world. That was an animalistic effort by him. I don't think they're ever going to bench Jack unless it's like real bad. I wish he buried that breakaway. That would have been really good for his, psyche or whatever. Would have liked to see it, but unfortunately, Lingard got a piece, and Jack's first goal is yet to come. Hopefully we see one Monday. Can't hang long time, but let's go Devils. And what was everyone saying at the last post game? Trade Hall or trade Nason? Whoever said trade Nason, I don't know if anyone said that. That would have been a terrible take at any point. I think Nason is just an absolute animal. Love his game. Absolutely love his game. James, 2 points is 2 points, but our defense is still atrocious. Caps are not that great of a team. I wouldn't say atrocious. I think a lot of the sloppiness in our own end falls on the forwards as well. I think you can't just blame the defense entirely. Yeah, I mean, they had some breakdowns that weren't great, but in the end, the forwards have to be a little more defensively responsible as well. And we are kind of caught in a couple times of where it seemed like guys were just kind of, mesmerized, looking around, looking at the puck. You just got to get it out. Just make the simple play and get it out. Steven Engel with some venom. Palat is trash. Holtz, the guy from Notre Dame. Does it look like Nemitz was limping? I didn't catch that, but maybe someone else did. Nemitz will hit the minors when Pesci comes back. I can't see it, but in this world we're now in with the way the games have gone, I mean, would they have the balls to send Nemitz down? I don't know. I don't even know if they can. I'm terrible with all the waiver nonsense and all the BS with the sending guys down. But I could see him being in the press box for some games. I mean, yeah, I guess realistically it comes down to it. It's like, who would you rather have? And I'm curious. Put this in the chat. I'm going to take an informal poll. So put your answer in the chat. If you were in charge and you held the keys to the Devil's Kingdom, when everyone is healthy, are you keeping Kovechkin? Are you keeping Kovacevic in the lineup, or are you keeping Nemitz? I mean, I'd be very curious to see how people respond to that. If you're in charge, who are you keeping in, Kovacevic or Nemitz? I think that's a real question. I'd be curious. Steven Engel says, no way, they're going to send Casey down. I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure whatsoever. I think Keefe loves him, and I think his little rookie hiccups are far less egregious. When you see those little rookie moments where you're like, they're far less egregious than the ones we saw Luke and Nemitz make last year, in my opinion. I would say, from my vantage point, it seems like Casey is much more stable, if you will, or steady than Luke or Nemitz were at various points last season. And I think he's only going to get better with time. He's only played 4 NHL games. So I'm very curious to see, again, when everyone's healthy, what is this defense going to look like? Because there is just decisions on decisions to be made. Got to part ways with Palat for another middle six winger. It's going to be extremely hard to trade that contract. I was talking with some of my friends earlier today via text message, and I do think he could potentially be a buyout candidate after this year. That might be the route to go. But again, it's still early on. Everyone's dogging on the guy. Listen, obviously $6 million is not what you want to pay a fourth liner, but if we go on a deep playoff run and he makes some big plays and is a big part of that, he'd be worth the money if they win a cup. If they win a cup, then everyone's worth everything. But even a deep playoff run, if he could play the role of a fourth liner well, it's obviously not ideal at $6 million, but it's not as bad as you feel like you're getting completely wasting the money. Shimon could be the odd man out. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Ross, Casey, you can tell needs to go down. He had a couple little hiccups tonight, but again, like I just said 2 seconds ago, I mean, they put up with a far worse crimes or rookie mistakes from Luke and Nemitz last year, and so I don't think it's as much of a slam dunk as a lot of people think. Rob, PK looking good, but PP has been terrible. Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. Is Jack okay? I'm going to say no, and it seems like a lot of folks here don't think so as well. I promised I'd bring back the call-ins. I don't know. Everyone likes to type, but I am bringing back. I'm going to drop it here. If anyone wants to call in, this is the first call-in. The first call. Oh, my God. Yeah, oh, my God. You guys are typing up a storm. I just dropped the call-in number. If anyone wants to call in, the number is just dropped. Wow. Yeah, there's quite a bit of chatter in here. I was not at all upset by the coincidental minors. Casey is playing better than Nemitz, though. I mean, I agree. I mean, listen, I thought Casey was playing in Utica this year. I think Fitzgerald thought that. With the injuries to Luke and Pesci, we're down defensemen. Hadaka gets hurt as well. We haven't heard anything about him. Who knows where he is? I believe he's on IR. Hadaka gets hurt, and the door just wide open, and Sheamus Casey just runs through it. And now, with his mobility and his vision, I don't know. I think I personally would be hard pressed to demote Sheamus Casey at this point. And I actually have a really good clip I had a brief little exchange with him on the red carpet. Very interesting video that I did not put out yet. But I think he could be here to stay. I'm not surprised either way because I could see both sides of it. I really do. But yeah, and I could see this being the reality too, Brian. Hughes and Pesci need to replace Nemitz and Siegs. That could be the reality. It really could. I'm falling in love with Kovacevic, and Sheamus Casey is quite the story, and I think he's only going to get better. I mean, yeah, he had, tonight was probably one of his not as good of a game defensively, but he scored a big goal in a big moment when we needed one, kind of stole the momentum back and deflated the home crowd. And he's got wheels, and he can play the power play point. I mean, he just seems like way overall more of a versatile defenseman that is useful in this lineup. And I wouldn't send him down at this point. I just don't think I could. Casey's goal was a beautiful shot. And Johnny Kovechkin going after Tom Wilson. Yeah, I like him already. Heavier, edgier, more violent. He saw Timo get that little extra shot. He immediately comes in and was like, no, not today, pal. Roughs him up a little bit. And that was BS, I thought, because, Wilson took him down from behind. He should have got that should have been a coincidental minor with Kovacevic. We still should have got the power play. So I thought that was total BS. But for a rookie without spending any time in the minors, Casey is a damn gem. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Siegs has been looking solid lately. Yeah, he hasn't looked bad. He had that monster block tonight. He's been being a little more physical. But it's just, process of elimination, right? I mean, certain guys, aren't coming out of the lineup. So, there's only so many guys that are even a potential to push out. And unfortunately, he's on the list of guys. Now, I'm not saying I would definitively do it. But when you look at guys that are going to get pushed out, he's on the list. Paul Cotter. Siegs has been a beauty. It's good to see a fire under his ass. He knows people are coming for those jobs. Absolutely knows people are hungry for his job. Really cashing in on the Cotter deal. Can't say enough about Cotter. Cotter jersey easy. And I said this, I think, last week as well. You're going to see 47 jerseys popping up. The Rock, the team store and the Rock better start sewing them up and running them through the machine because the demand is going to start building very soon. As good as Casey's on the offensive end, he's is on the offense end. He's not good yet in our own zone. And there are way too many fail zone exits that lead to their goals. That he's going to improve on that, though. Game 4. He's a young kid. He looks way more seasoned than he is. Even if Holtz scores 40, we're a better team with Cotter. I agree. I don't think Holtz is going to get 40, but Cotter is just a hockey player. He is a throwback hockey player, just great sense of the game, always gets to the right spots, brings the energy. Third line should be our first line. I don't know about all that, but I would take Cotter off that third line and give him a first line audition because they looked amazing tonight. Cotter is the power forward we didn't know we traded for. When are the jerseys selling? I'd imagine they're going to have them soon. I'm just trying to adjust my chair here a little bit. I'm developing like an old man back situation. Oh, that's a little bit better. Nemitz looked bad again. Jack has been playing with zero compete, which is maddening, and Markstrom's rebound control has been bad. I think Jack is hurt. It sucks. I'm not making excuses for the kid. I just think he's hurt, and it just seems like a chronic kind of thing with him. And yeah, Markstrom's rebound control has been a little sloppy. We haven't played the most sound defensive structure in front of him. And tonight we were sloppy on a lot, but he made the big saves when he needed to. Props to Markstrom. Hopefully he comes back and, really could settle in. I'm looking for the first Markstrom Devil shutout. I'm hoping it's sooner than later. Really, really would like to see one of those. We need to tell the Twitter puck bunnies to stop gassing up some of these top guns until they step up their game again. I have Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. Follow me on X. I'm not very active on there. It is a goal of mine to try to be more active on there, but I just feel like it is very not to slander the population of Twitter or X, but it does seem like very amateur kiddie kind of stuff a lot, but and so I don't go on there that much, but I am looking to try to get a little more active on there. I really got 3. Nah, Jack looks fine from them. I mean, listen, if their interest in Jack extends to off the ice, then their credibility is already ruined. He obviously has been off. Everybody here has been saying it. Whatever it is, it's there's something going on. But I'd like to see a new kind of look on that top line. Put in Paulie and give him a shot with Mercer. And let's see what they could do. And again, I think that Nico Bratt Timo line could be dangerous. I'm tired of seeing Nico getting plowed every game. I mean, that's kind of the story of forever. Nico takes a licking and keeps on ticking most of the time. And props to Nico. He takes a lot of punishment. What's up, Brian? I think that was Sieg's best game in a while. Yeah, that was a monster block in a big moment. He was physical. And yeah, shout out to Siegs. He's brought his A game for sure. He knows that guys are chasing that spot. He knows if he, comes out there looking like dog duty, he's going to be the odd man out. Let's get to Jack. We need to talk. What's up here? Good luck with that. I'd be curious if he even spoke with the media tonight. Jack playing scared. It looks like too many reactive and not proactive defensive moments. And that 50-second addition to the Caps power play. Oh, God. When they were playing keep away to try to just get as much power play time as possible, I was freaking out. I'm like, what are you doing? Somebody get aggressive. And I think Dawson charged somebody, and then eventually we got the puck, but not after they killed tons of time to add on to their power play for sure. Is he afraid of getting hurt, or is he hurt? It could be a combination of both, but I would be leaning more towards that he is currently still hurt, in my opinion. And it's unfortunate, and credit to him for trying to play through it. I still think, Jack Hughes at 70% is better than 90% of the league, but it is what it is. Great play by Nico on the empty net. Got smoked for the same game. Absolutely smoked. Absolutely smoked. They were trying to make too many cross-ice passes in the neutral zone tonight. They got to clean that up. Yeah, sometimes you got to just chip it up the wall and go chase it. There was, a lot of times I saw tonight too that it seemed like the guys were easing up on their hits. Like, I like to see the full force slam, and sometimes tonight it seemed like they were kind of pulling up at the last minute. I like to see guys go full throttle and crush people. Hopefully we get back to that, because there was a bunch that I was like, I don't like that. When I see the guys pull up and just kind of glide into them, I want complete violence. I want complete violence. Cotter's our best player. I mean, right now he is statistically. All those goals came because of failed zone exits. Can't wait to get Pesci and Hughes back. And I'm curious to see how that's going to look, right? And how far apart they are. I mean, at this point, we don't really know. We're still assuming Luke's going to come back sometime, early November. Pesci, I don't even know. I think they're still saying week to week, but like, what the hell does that mean? Is he going to come back closer to November now, or are we going to see him, at some point in the next week? Let me know what you guys are drinking, by the way. Cheers. Cheers. Jack will hit his stride. I'm not worried, but I think part of it he's trying to play smarter and not put himself in compromising positions. I mean, maybe. But a lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy play. I'm just itching to see the real Jack Hughes back when he's that electric, highlight reel guy. So far, we haven't seen much of that. A couple little glimmers, but not a ton. Jack and Timo seem to have no chemistry. Again, still early on in the season, but at this point, in the interest of just seeing what we could generate and exploring all avenues, I'm putting Cotter on that top line with Jack and Dawson, and I'm putting Timo with his countrymen, Nico and Bratter on the other side and seeing what they could do. I think at some point you have to at least see the unit of, the Brat, Nico, Timo line. I feel like that's inevitable to see at some point. What that means to the top line, maybe my wish of Cotter won't come true, but I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Yeah, Nason and Cotter are already paying off. You can't say enough about these additions. These were great additions. They paid off immediately in Prague, and they're continuing to pay off. I mean, you really look at this team, and you're like, thus far, the new additions have really been, carrying the load. Good thing we have the depth to get by. We're not playing their best. Yeah, and you need that. Power play needs some work. Absolutely. Absolutely need the power play to get going. 0 for 4 on the road tonight. It could have cost us. Fortunately, it didn't, and we still gutted out a win. But it could have been the difference between a win or a loss tonight, and thankfully, it didn't cost us. But yeah, the power play has got to get going. Absolutely got to get going. Jerome, wins without big contributions from the Hughes line is actually a great sign. They'll get it together. I think they will. But I would like to see a new reiteration of the top line. I think it's time. I'm over the current lines for now. Or maybe give them one more game. Yeah, we just need 100% Jack. It's crazy. Devils power play is shit. They should watch how other teams work that. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And they gave up some chances against too. I'm sure that'll be something they're going to be working on in practice in the next couple of days because, you can't go 0 for 4 in a game like tonight and expect to win, especially when you're making some of those sloppy plays in our own end. But overall, love to see the win. Jerome, what am I insane about? I'm never going to see his answer, probably. The chat is crazy. Cotter with Jack, Maria. We should start the campaign. I want Nico and Meyer together, maybe with Mercer. That could be an interesting combo as well. So then that would leave, if you put Cotter on the Jack line, it would be. I'm not mad at that either. I would actually that would be my second preference. So my personal number one choice would be Cotter, Jack, Mercer, and then Brat, Nico, Timo. I also would like Brian's suggestion here, which I guess would default to if we're living in the Cotter on the top line world, would be Cotter, Jack, and Brat. Cotter, Jack, Brat, and then Nico, Timo, Mercer. Yeah, either one of those combinations of the top two would be interesting. And at some point, I would try all of it, unless, the first one you try gets off to a crazy start and you're like, there's no need to even try the other option. But I think those are all viable lines. And this is the nice thing about having some talent. Having some talent and being able to switch it up a little bit. All right, now I'm trying to get back to my place. Cotter will get Hughes going. Watch. I mean, that would be lovely to see. I hope he gets the audition. But no, leave Cotter facing other third liners. I think Cotter's going to perform no matter what. I really do. I think he'll perform on the fourth line. He'll perform on the third. He would perform on the second. I think he'd perform on the top line. I could see Keefe being like, we have an amazing third line. Let's not mess with it. These guys have great chemistry and they dominated tonight. So maybe we'll just stick with that. But I feel like you owe it to Cotter to at least give him a look higher up. The Nico Brat Timo line was great last year. Yeah, I think we saw it towards the end of the season for a little bit. And there was some flashes. Cotter, Nason, and Hall are feeling it. Not sure we'd want to break that up. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I could see that point too. But I do think Nason and Hall could produce with somebody else in Cotter's place, even though Cotter's been like the emergent star of every line he's played on. I do think, you obviously want to get your top two lines going as well, and you're not going to be able to win with bottom six guys scoring all year long. I mean, obviously in some games like tonight, it's great to see, but you can't rely on that. And at some point, the top line is going to have to get it going. But I could see Keith potentially not tinkering with it and then maybe trying some other changes in the top six without messing with Cotter. But he is that guy. Yeah, Cotter looks like a player that slots in anywhere and contributes. Exactly. Holtz, who? Distant memory, travel, and devil. Yeah, absolutely. Cotter, beast mode. Holtz, 0 goals, 0 assists, 2 shots on goal for 2 games. Cotter's a stud compared to him. Well, let's wait till the end of the year, but I fully expect Cotter to have a much more productive season, than Holtz is going to have. Will be great when Pesci comes back, but Casey is a dog. I love Sheamus Casey. And the question remains, will he be in this lineup or will he not when fully healthy? But I think he's, shown that he belongs, and he's really going to give the coaching staff some really difficult decisions to make. Same here. I was questioning that Holtz Cotter trade until now. It's time for me to eat crow. Yeah, absolutely. I came back around. I wasn't as mad like a week later or a few days later after I really looked at all the clips. I was like, wow, I'm happy to have Cotter. I didn't like the price we paid. But, at this juncture, even what seemed like a high price at the time is now, you could argue that it was, either anything from a lopsided trade to an absolute steal, depending on how this all, how the stats look at the end of the year. More upset about losing Sharon Govich than Holtz. Yeah, Sharon Govich, it just wasn't happening for me. Needed to change of scenery. And I used that example, I think, in the last post-game live. I said they're not the same player, and obviously the stats probably won't be the same, but Cotter's situation kind of reminded me of Sharon Govich in that he was on a team that was very deep. He was buried on the depth chart, and he just needed to get somewhere, kind of new surroundings, new team, and get a fresh start with increased responsibilities and roles. Cotter's getting it now, and he's just running with it. Absolutely running with it. Brat and Timo have been looking dangerous together. Put Timo on his natural side, please. Everyone wants Timo on the right wing, where he just made his career essentially in San Jose. That's why we traded for him. That's why we paid him. Timo on the right. Casey's clutch. Curious to see if he sticks around once the D gets healthy. Yep, that's the big question. Casey had some rough D-zone play tonight. Absolutely. And you're going to get that with a young kid. But I think the when you do a little T chart of the pros and cons, I think the pros outweigh the cons. I really do. And I think he's just going to get better and more comfortable as time goes on. He had some snafus in our own end tonight, but I think, with time, he's going to tighten that up. And again, I say last year, some of the pain, the growing pains of Luke and Nemitz were like, you watch it and you're like, oh God, like learning on the job training, it was really painful. I don't think it's going to be nearly that bad with Casey. I think here and there, you're going to see, you're going to say rookie play, but I really think the pros outweigh the cons. Brat, Nico, Timo sounds like a good combo. Yeah, I think it could be. I'm curious to see it. Ooh. Markstrom's rebound control saved us. I was getting flashbacks of VTech. Yeah, the PSD. The PTSD lingers, but I think Markstrom's going to settle down and have a good season. Do you think Utah Hockey Club versus Devils match will be good since Utah won versus Rangers and Devils won versus Caps? No, I think Utah is, they're off to a good start. The Devils need that. We can't go 0-2 at home. That would suck. I think the Devils are going to come out looking for a big performance in front of the home crowd. It's a 1:00 game, which is weird. I think it's what is it, Columbus Day? I didn't even know that they still I thought they abolished that as a federal holiday almost. Yeah, for Columbus Day. Or do people even get off for Columbus Day anymore? I feel like they don't. To have a 1:00 game, it's kind of strange, but I always like afternoon games to switch it up a little bit. Thought tonight was good, but not great. Big improvement over the Leafs game. Still a little bit to work on. Paul Cotter, though. Yeah, give him an audition. Get him an audition in the top 6. Yep, Tatar to the third, team out of the second. I would try it for sure. Big Tuna revenge tour. I mean, that second chance, he had a guy draped all over him, and he wouldn't give up. Props to Tuna on that. That was a really big goal. Really big goal and a big moment. If Jack doesn't recover, this team doesn't get where we need to go. I think with Jack at less than 100% for the regular season, we could be fine. Obviously, we need him at as close to 100% as possible for any sort of deep playoff run. But after 4 games, we're 3-1 with 0 Jack Hughes goals. Sign me up. No Jack goals, no problem. We're getting offense from everywhere. Blue liners, bottom 6 guys. Where's the Jack who broke his stick and threw it on the ice? Where is that Jack? I mean, that Jack was probably not injured or nursing an injury. Cotter in this small sample size is more effective than Holtz was in 2 years. I mean, obviously, that in the small sample size, that is correct. Yeah, I mean, Cotter's just a gamer. You could just tell. I absolutely love the guy. We had multiple games last year against this Caps team that were heartbreakers. We had a lot of heartbreakers against a lot of teams. How much End-Day Devils jersey you have? A lot. I collect game-worn jerseys, and I've been collecting them for about 20 years. So I have a mental illness with my Devils collection, and I have quite a bit. Like, a lot. Call me crazy, but it looks like Jack is trying to focus on prolonging his season rather than playing with confidence. All this talk about injury history probably doesn't want to validate it. It's possible. I have to believe he's hurt. We better bring our A game on Monday versus Utah. They're looking hungry. Yeah, absolutely. What a story for those guys, right? They're living in Arizona. A lot of them were probably homeowners with the dog and the white picket fence and the kids and the da-da-da. And then one day they're like, oh, by the way, guys, we're moving to Utah. And they're probably like, what the And now they're starting a whole new life in a new city. And yeah, maybe it was just what they needed to get that franchise kind of back in the out of the basement dwelling of the standings. It would be crazy if that move kind of springboarded them into being like some sort of not a juggernaut, but like a perennial playoff team. 118 watching and only 60 likes. Damn, thanks, Jerome. Someone got my back. Can we get that thumbs up? Little like action for the kid. A little bit. Free 99. Just click it. It costs you nothing. Half a second. Click the like. $6 million for a fourth liner. I don't care how good Palat looked. And Kyle, that is fair, my friend. $6 million and on the fourth line, oof, it hurts. It really, really hurts. It was that was a misstep by Fitz, obviously. He was looking for a guy that performed a little bit in the playoffs, veteran leader. He's won a couple cups. I get all the reasons why he kind of got high on that acquisition, but at $6 million, yeah, that's painful. Imagine if we didn't have him at the moment, if he wasn't if he wasn't on this team, and we had that $6 million, we would be in a much better position to do something really splashy at the deadline with $6 million of cap space. Oh my God. Tatar heard us talking smack and decided to show us up. Jack is playing scared in fear of being at another stretch. And if this is the case, I would just tell him, listen, man, sit out a few games. Obviously, he's not going to do it, but I would rather him feel fully kind of confident to play his true game as opposed to maybe, being timid. And I don't know exactly what it is, but he's got to get it going, and hopefully he does Monday at home. Once Jack gets a goal, he will light it up. I think he was just in his head right now. It's possible. I think sometimes he gets a little in his head, but I think it is more of a physical thing, whether that's, again, trying to avoid getting injured because he knows he's close, or if he's still tender. It's interesting. But hopefully we see the Jack we all know and love, the guy that's flying around and is a threat to score every time he's on the ice. We haven't really seen him yet. Also, I think Heischer hasn't had a bad game yet. He's been all over the place. Very strong start to a season. Nico's always Mr. Solid. Mr. Solid two-way game, Mr. Dependable. And that's why he's got the C on the jersey. Let's blame Jack's girlfriend. I don't follow all this stuff. People follow like the soap opera. Does he have a girlfriend? I don't even know. I wonder if Nemet's problem is just stylistic. I don't think he does very well with Casey. I'd like to see those bottom two pairs mixed up. You might see that at some point as well, too. I think, obviously, Casey could be better served by playing with a veteran. That would probably also, decrease the amount of times that you're like, ooh, Sheamus, come on now. You got to be a little smarter than that. While he's still learning to, maybe partner him up with a more veteran guy to insulate him a little bit. But I think Casey's going to be a stud, man. I really do. Right now, Nemetz goes down, and I bought a Nemetz jersey. He's gonna be a big part of this team for years. Even if he goes down, don't take that as like some gut-wrenching thing. The reality is we are just so deep on defense, and we have to have the best guys out there. And unfortunately, at the moment, he might not be one of them. But that's going to be a really hard decision for Keefe and the squad to make. For Luke and Pesci, I'd take down Nemetz and Kovechkin. I can see that. I just don't want Kovacevic out of the lineup. He just is such a big body, and I just, him and Casey both really have made it hard for me to be like, how am I taking them out? Collect records. Covey better than Nemetz. I think on this team right now, I would, if it came down to it, it's my choice. I would keep Kovacevic over him at the moment. I really would. Just a big body, more veteran. I think that would be this. Wow, it's over. Oh, this must be when I asked for the poll. Sorry, guys, I'm way behind. Yeah, everybody seems to be on the Kovacevic train. My God. Maria Kovacevic, Brian Kovacevic, Collect Records Kovacevic, Alex Kovacevic, Larry Kovacevic, RME. So, oh my God, it might be a clean sweep. I forgot about that poll. I think it's more important that Nemetz gets developed. I ride it out with Nemetz and let him just battle through it. And Chico, that's a fair point as well. I believe Nemetz is going to be one of the cornerstones on defense for years to come. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am on that front. And it's almost like, is it counterproductive to his, growth and maturity to throw him down? It's a two-way street, and I see both sides of the argument. But if you're really just going with like, we want to win right now, like if this was like the playoffs, it's a tough one. It really is. Nemetz goes down. Covey or Casey, good luck figuring that one out. It's all very interesting. Keep Covey. Nemetz needs more practice. Unless you're going to give him like 30 minutes a night in the A, which I think they would. If he did end up down there, I think they would give him a ridiculous amount of minutes. I'm worried about Markey. He seems too shaky for my liking. I agree that he's had a little bit of a shaky start, but the Devils didn't really play in front of him against the Maple Leafs. Tonight, they were still a little shaky. He looked very solid against Buffalo, and granted, Buffalo's not the greatest team, but he did face some really high-quality scoring chances, high-danger opportunities, and he looked really good. And so I hope he eventually settles down and doesn't look as shaky, but I agree he has looked a little shaky tonight, and that Maple Leafs game, but that Maple Leafs game was just brutal all around. It really was. Another vote for Kovacevic. If it were up to me, keep Kovacevic, only him and Dylan on the blue line that have that bark and the bite. Yeah, and you saw it tonight. You saw it from Dylan already. I mean, he absolutely crushed the guy in Prague and then threw down, dropped the gloves and had a little tilt, or Dylan rather crushed the guy, had to drop the gloves. And then Kovacevic got in there today when PLD took a little extra cheap shot on Timo. He was like, I don't think so. Palat is one Sergei Bob run away from earning that contract. Easier said than done. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it could be the best $6 million ever spent if we somehow win a cup, and he ended up with 14, 15 points on the cup run, including like an OT winner and some other, game-winning goals throughout. I mean, that's the only way that contract ever is worth it. And you never know till we get there. I love Luke, but get ready to see some mistakes from him as well. I mean, probably. Is Casey the next Rafalski? That's an interesting point. So for the younger fans or newer fans, whatever you may be, if you weren't around, Brian Rafalski was a very mobile, smooth skating, good shot, just very heady, good hockey player, undersized defenseman on both the Devils' 2000 and 2003 Stanley Cup teams. A lot of people are making the Sheamus Casey, Brian Rafalski analogy. And I mean, he could be a little bit different of a league, a little bit different of a game now, but I think at a worst case scenario, he would be comparable to Brian Rafalski. And Brian Rafalski, I believe, is probably one of the most underrated players from that Devils era because, he gets forgotten about amidst all of the other legends that were on both that 2000 and 2003 Devils Cup teams, right? So, he gets lost in the sauce. Everyone remembers Stevens and Niedermeyer and Marty. Obviously, Kenny Danico was a long-term Devil, Mr. Devil. Everyone remembers him. But I do think Rafalski is one of the more underrated guys of that era. And if Casey turns out to be like the new era of Brian Rafalski, I mean, that'd be amazing. I think he could be. I think it's way too early to say that is a direct kind of comp, but I definitely think it could be. I don't really know how much, but we kind of rotate them through and try stuff like scratching too. Yeah, I think they could. They could healthy scratch guys, but it's just going to be a very tumultuous situation. There's going to be a lot of guys that are tense because when Pesci and Luke come back, two guys got to come out. I think Jack is a head case. I hope not. I think it's more of his physical, whatever he's been dealing with his shoulder and whatever else. I hope he's not a mental midget. I don't think that he is. I mean, anything's possible. You never know what's really going on with these guys. But I don't think it's that. I just think he's nursing something and it's causing him to, play differently. Oh, yeah, skip Cape Dweller. Poll answer keeping Kovacevic. It really seems that way. Kovechkin. I really hope I can go to a lot of games this season. Going to games is just so much fun. Watch Jack have a great game on Monday, but no one sees because we're fucking working. I would love to see it. He's overdue now. I mean, no goals through 4. I'd love to see him get a Hattie. Get 2. I'll accept 2 goals. I thought I just read Hadaka had surgery. I must have missed that. Siegs has been good. You got to give it to him. I did. He's playing well because he knows people are coming for his jobs. He knows people are coming for his job, and he's got to bring it, or he's going to be the odd man out. I don't think Siegs is being booted in this team at the moment. I think Kovechkin is at more risk. Yeah, it's everybody's got to bring it. You don't know where the coaching staff's head is at with these personnel decisions, and they're going to be made. They're going to be made. And I'm curious when we see Pesci and how, what his chemistry is going to be with his D partner and how long it takes him to fully acclimate to game speed. I mean, that's another thing that people are kind of glossing over is like, oh, Pesci and Hughes are going to make our team better. But, at whenever that is, we might be 8, 10, 12 games into the season. And now guys have already kind of found their game, found chemistry with their D partners. And so you are kind of taking a step backward to hopefully take 2 steps forward. But I don't expect them to jump in the lineup, whenever they come back at game 1 and have it be like, oh, look at this immediate upgrade. I mean, I think it would be delusional of us to believe that would be the case. It's a good problem to have, guys. We were begging for competent defenders last year. Absolutely. And the defensive depth on this team is absolutely beautiful. And when you have decisions like this, it's a great position to be in. Can't stand how players are trying to act cute with the puck, keep it simple and grind. Yeah, that's gonna be General Keefe's message for sure. Make the simple play. There's no need to try to get too fancy, and especially in our own end, just get it out. Just get it the hell out because we've had way too many times where the puck should have been out and it wasn't, and it ended up in the back of our net. Can't have it. Cannot have it. My thing is that Nemeth, Casey, and Luke are all offensive-minded top 4 D-men, while a guy like Kovacevic performs the role of bottom pairing gritty D-man better. I couldn't agree more, right? And that's why for me, I'm not taking Kovacevic out. I'm figuring out how to leave him in. And at this point, I also value Casey, but I value Kovacevic more at the moment because of the different style of defense he plays with his size and the physicality. I think it's just going to be a hard one. I hope Kovacevic stays in, and Casey, I'm not going to be gutted if he doesn't, but I do think that the coaching staff is really high on him, and I think for good reason. He has absolutely shown that he's worth an NHL job. He's worth an NHL job right now. So it's hard for me to say, he's the easy one to pick to bring out of the lineup, because I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all, and I think it's going to be really hard for the staff when it comes time to make that decision. It seems like more people are wanting to see Kovacevic stay. He seems to be on, the guy high on everyone's list here versus Casey. Casey seems to be a little bit more of a split audience, as opposed to Kovacevic seems to be everyone's high on him. And so, you never know what the coaching staff's thinking, but we're going to see it. Paul Cotter, 50-goal season. God, I wish, but it's probably just going to be a good stretch in the start, and he'll score 20 to 25. Listen, 20 to 25 from Paul Cotter would be amazing, beyond amazing. Who thought, I believe his career high in points was a couple years ago, 25 points. If he gets 25 goals, oh my God.
Paulie. Yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Paulie.
Yo, Paulie, looking to fulfill my prediction and plus some. And absolutely plus some on that 41 points I predicted. Nemeth has looked awful. Wouldn't be shocked if he's playing through some sort of injury. It's possible. That'd be the only one we had no idea about. Cotter can skate. Holtz couldn't skate. Cotter's skating is obviously levels above Holtz. That was a big knock on Holtz even coming out of the draft, was that his skating wasn't the best. And I will say that has haunted a lot of guys. And so even leading up to the draft, whenever I see scouting reports from like the guys that are like, oh, the skating might be an issue, that's always a super red flag to me, because I think a lot of other things you can improve on. And obviously you could get better and improve your skating as well. But at that stage of the game, you wouldn't want that to be an element that they need to work on. Like, I rather them say something else, like, sometimes makes poor decisions, or, below average hockey IQ, or something like that you could try to coach a little bit more easier than like, you're not a great skater, and now at age 19 or 20, we're hoping you somehow drastically improve on that. Again, it's possible, but that's always a red flag for me. But Cotter flies like the wind. We can't fit those three along with Dougie, Dylan, and Pesci also in the top 4. Siegs and Covey is a great bottom pair. I think Cotter has a chance to fill in a similar role that Zach Hyman does, and if he clicks, he's going to go hog wild. I would love, from your mouth to God's ears, if Cotter does anything like what Hyman was doing, it would be the biggest steal of a trade in New Jersey Devils history. Zach, how's Jack hurt? Explain. It's quite simple. He had a lingering shoulder issue last year, and he shut it down a few games before the season was over to get it surgically repaired. And he still might not be fully, recovered from the surgery. So that's would be how he was hurt, that his shoulder is still kind of flared up. Oh man, fentanyl Floyd. Holtz won't get 40 total in the rest of his career. That's brutal. It's a long, grueling season, and Casey hasn't done it before. I mean, Cape Dweller, fair point, but I can't say that he can't do it until he shows signs of, fatigue or something, if he was to stay in the lineup in like games 45, 50, later on, where you're like, all right, he's not used to this workload, so maybe he should come out. But I don't know, until it's an issue. But it is something to think about for sure. I think maybe we saw a little bit of that with Luke as well. The college season is like half of an NHL season, and obviously the intensity of the game is very different. on top of that. Jack needs to grow a pair. I don't think Jack is hurt. Twitter is hell. It's the NHL. Put your big boy pants on. Joseph, top line needs a change. I'm giving Paul Cotter the audition. I'm 100% giving him the audition and seeing what happens. Nico plays a lot of heart and compete. That's why he wears a C. Absolutely. Defensively responsible. Very good at faceoffs. Does everything you want. I just wish he was a little more fiery at times, but not every captain, leads the same way. And former players have said that time and time again. So I'm okay with that. A lot of us, we're accustomed to the Scott Stevens type captain, and most captains aren't going to be that. What's a forward that would come up to replace an injured or underperforming player? Well, it depends, but obviously we have Curtis McDermott, I think, is sitting in the press box on most nights, so he could potentially get in the lineup for some games. You also have Nolan Foote trying to crack the lineup. I would say Hallinan would be a potential call-up at some point. There's a 3-4 guys that would be like kind of the next guy up in case of an injury. The first two power plays were awful. Absolutely, they were. The Devils have a kid I'm Russian who's probably going to be here at the end of the year. I think you're referring to Gritsuk. A lot of good things people are saying about Gritsuk. Been lighting it up in the KHL for the past year or two. Dawson Mercer is having basically the opposite start that he had last year. Having a shorter preseason has us making adjustments to the lineup on the fly. It may take a while to get all the bugs kinks out. Yeah, agreed. Even I think it was after the last game, Sheldon Keefe said in the post-game press conference that essentially Prague was almost like an extension of the preseason in terms of all this stuff. And yeah, the games counted and the points mattered, but in terms of logistics and working on your lines and things, it was almost like an extended version of the preseason. And so, yeah, we're still trying to figure it out on the go. I'm just hoping we see some tweaks in that top two. Drinking water at San Fran Airport. Washington is a heavy team. Need to start laying some serious hits. I'm just drinking H2O, bottled H2O. Drinking El Mayor tequila cigar. Cheers. Cheers, Jerome. In Cali, watching Vanacek stonewall the Ducks. Oh, boy. Let's see what happens on Monday. Cotter way better than Holtz. Bratt and Jack play good together. Absolutely. Peanut butter and jelly. They had tons of highlight reel, throughout the years. They've played together here and there. And magical. All right, so you said you're insane to Cotter on first line. He's feasting where he is. Maybe some PB time. That's it. Jack, Jesper, and Timo need to sack up. Nah, I think that there needs to be a shakeup. So if Cotter is going to be cemented on the third line, which I'm okay with, I would try to reward him at least one game and let him just to see. But if Cotter is going to remain on the third line, then I would like to see a shakeup in the top two. And what were the ones? What did we say before? It was Timo. Was Timo, Nico, and Mercer? Was that what? I think that was the suggestion. And then Jack, yeah. I think the top line is due for a little shakeup, just to see. All of us people who said, "Who the hell is Paul Cotter?" when we record him, do not know puck like our scouting department does. Yeah, that was a great pluck from Vegas. It really was. Where's the Dougie bomb been? Very fair question. I think the Dougie bomb has been kind of lying in wait because our power play has been dookie. And so that's where a lot of the Dougie bombs came. Our power play just seems to be in disarray at the moment. And but I'm not worried. Dougie's definitely laying the wood up more often. Definitely playing more physical this year than he has. So I still would like some of the checks look like he's just kind of going through the motions, but a couple of them have been decent hits for a man that large. I would like to see him play more physical than that even, but he's definitely ratcheted up a little bit. Yep. Dougie actually playing physical. Absolutely. He's played well defensively, Dougie. Sheamus Casey has won everywhere he's been. I do hope Holtz puts together eventually, though. There's so much potential there. Yeah, I'm still rooting for him, but it's almost like once you get traded, like, you're not dead to me, but, I'm not going to be heartbroken no matter what happens. Cotter, Hughes, Nason, hot take 3-stack lines. I mean, that would be an interesting line. I don't think it'll ever happen because now you're talking about essentially putting what was slated to be a fourth liner and a third liner on Jack's wing on the top line. But in theory, it would be interesting to see. I would like to see something like that on the power play, maybe. I think that could be real interesting. And I don't know who the other two I would add. I guess Casey and maybe Mercer. I was just really sad at seeing Legend Akira, and unfortunately casualty of Holtz go, but I ain't going to be some hindsight Harold either. I did not see Cotter producing this much. I don't think anyone did. I thought my hot take was 41 points. He's already, so it seems, blown my kind of estimate out of the stratosphere. Casey, Nemitz go down. Clearly the worst line in individual defensive play thus far. Luke replaces Casey. Near exact same player. Pesci obviously over Nemitz. I think it's simple. Maybe. Yeah, the Nemitz thing is interesting because I do think there's value in playing him, towards his long-term career, but he is so young that, can we afford to keep him in the lineup over a guy like Kovacevic? I don't think so. I really don't. Holtz will be out of the league within 5 years. Gritsu coming to NJ. Watch out for him. A lot of people are high on him. Nemitz might be a trade piece in all honesty. I could see it. I wouldn't want to do it unless, again, we were doing something mega. I'm not going to say the guy's name. But unless it's for a mega piece, I don't want to trade Nemitz. It would have to be something substantial. Like super, super substantial for me to want to do that. I wouldn't do it just, as like a just because. It would have to be towards something big. I don't send either down until I see them split up. That pairing doesn't work, but there's too much talent for them to be as bad as they are. I want to see Siegs, Nemitz, and Casey Cove. I think Siegs that could be interesting. Everything's worth trying to see how it goes. Yeah, I'm not in love with the idea of Nemitz and Casey together just because, pairing two younger guys. Should we be worried about Jack? His passing has been absolutely brutal. Doesn't seem like himself. Yeah, I'm concerned. I think he's injured. For real. This is a good question. I talked about a couple, lives or something. Who runs power play 1 and 2 when Luke is healthy? Nothing changes in my opinion. I'm leaving Dougie on power play 1, and I am leaving Casey on power play 2. Until there's a reason not to play either one of them, I'm not just giving Luke one of those spots coming back from injury. Unfortunately, I'm not. Jack's been way off since the jump. Fumbles, passes, and turnovers galore. Some of y'all sound like clowns talking about Nemitz on Game 4 of the season. Yeah, I'm not nearly as down on him as other people are, but I just think at this juncture it is a fair thing to when discussing when fully healthy who are going to be the odd guys out. I think it is fair to include him in the conversation because at this point, I think everybody not named Dylan and Dougie Hamilton at the moment are potentials to get shoved out. Thanksgiving here in Canada on Monday. The Canadian Thanksgiving is in October. Yeah, you don't trade Nemitz. Nemitz situation very similar to Bo Byram. I'd trade Nemitz for a forward. We've been talking about trading Nemitz since the offseason. Casey better than Nemitz. That's interesting. Shout out Zebra Games. The young buck. Been around here for a while. It's past. Wow, you're up late, my man. It's 11:21. I know it's the weekend, but wow. If Jack doesn't recover, this team has enough talent to be a contender, even if Jack and Luke had never been born. It's interesting. That's interesting. Let me think about that for a minute. Obviously, I think Jack is way more important to the team than Luke is. I do believe if Luke had never been born, with the defense we have now, we would be more than fine. I'm just trying to think without Jack. I mean, I think we still could be a contender, as crazy as it may sound, but we're obviously a much, much better team with Jack Hughes, period. Sam Bennett is the guy I want the Devils to get in the offseason. Bennett is a dog. I'm not going to pretend that I know how these injuries work, but man, if Jack ain't close to 100% by December, I'd imagine he would be. But who knows? I'm not a doctor either. I mean, shit, it seems like this shoulder is a lingering problem. It's been a problem for a while, and it seems like, you never know. It could be one of those things that it's just like never fully healed, and he's always going to be off. I hope not. And I also hope he's not like in the back of his mind, like, I'm always one hit or kind of slip away from it cracking or whatever the hell happened to it. It'd be terrible. I love Cotter, but I don't want to compare him and Holtz. The Devs last year versus this year are so different. Different players, different coach, different mindset. Yeah, but if we're being honest, they were traded for each other, and so you're going to have to compare. And the reality is, as others pointed out, Cotter's skating is in a different stratosphere than Holtz. Furthermore, I do believe that Cotter will have a way better season this year and probably a longer, more productive career than Holtz does, unfortunately. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So the fact that Sheldon has pretty much two rookies paired up is kind of crazy, so that's why they make some mistakes. Yeah, but I guess he thought for the balance of the D pairings, that was the best thing to do. But I do think Casey will look better with a more veteran D partner, and we won't see as many of those rookie moments. Not a fan of pairing Nemitz with Casey to an experience. Yeah, we have a logjam at right D. Nemitz has the value to land us a massive piece. It's not an insane discussion, and again, it's one we've had before here. Listen, I hate to bring this up because I get flamed and trolled and death threats every time we bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. I have to. If you're talking about trading Nemitz in some sort of package for a guy like Brady Tkachuk, then I'm on board. Or a guy in that, I guess, realm. And by that realm, I mean like what I would believe to be a true game changer for the lineup. I think Brady Tkachuk would be that. I don't know how many other guys would be remotely realistic that I would consider kind of in that realm. But if it's something like that, I would consider it. Again, I would try to retain Nemitz at all costs. But, with the amount of defensemen we have now, with the fact that Luke's going to be getting a big raise and then Nemitz is going to be due a big raise as well, if you can cash him in, you really sit down and look at the future of this defense, he could be an expendable piece. I would love to see him here. But, if you're talking about a guy like Brady, that's a different story. You would think Sheldon would have paired each one of them with a veteran D-man. I'm sure he had his reasons. Oh, man, here we go. I'm sure he had his reasons to make the pairings what he did. We're not privy to them, but he thought that was in the best interest of the team and gave us the best chance to win. I still support bring Brady to NJ. 72 likes now. Thanks. Hit the thumbs up. It's free, guys. 0.3 seconds of your life. Click on that like. Oh, wait. I'm just scrolling through these comments. You guys are coming in fast and furious. And I do want to just share one other thing. This is a shameless plug here. But I've been working on a side project that it took some time for it to come to fruition. It took some time, but I'm just sharing this. This is a video that is premiering Monday night at 7 p.m. The game's at 1. The game will probably be over by like 4. I'll be on for the post-game live, and that'll probably wrap up whenever. But at 7 p.m., the premiere of this video, I bought New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup bling from Pawn Stars, will be premiering on the channel. This project was months and months and months in the making. I have so many ideas, so many plans, so many projects. I'm constantly working on a million things at once, and a lot of things take time to come to fruition. But check that. Be waiting for that. Put your notifications on. Bookmark it. I'll be in the chat during the premiere. There's a live chat, so I'll be in there watching along with whoever decides to make it for the premiere. And what an interesting video. What an interesting video. What an interesting saga that was. So I will I will be in that chat Monday night at 7 p.m. talking about how I bought Stanley Cup bling from the Pawn Stars. Now I'm trying to find my spot back here. Yeah, the defensive pairings and who's going to be on defense is a very interesting. It's really become a very interesting conversation because there are people kind of all over the board. It seems like most people really want Kovacevic to remain. Thank God the Kovalchuk recapture penalty is over. Yeah, that was BS. So many other teams signed deals like that, and in the league, hit us with that penalty for the cap circumvention. It was complete BS. Complete BS. Jack is the problem right now. It looks worse than his rookie season. I mean, Timo needs to be on the right wing. I agree. Nico did great in faceoffs tonight. I didn't look at the faceoff stats. Let's see. Nico faceoffs. I hate the way they have this set up on here. He actually was on the losing end of faceoffs tonight. 44%. 44% for Nico. Very rare that he doesn't win 50 plus. If Jack is hurt, then I support taking time off. I just think he's cold right now and needs time to get in a groove. I don't think a guy like Jack Hughes, if healthy, ever goes as cold as he's been. I think it's just really an injury thing. Even Jack's breakaway looked off. I mean, it was a breakaway. Is SST in here? No, he's on a weird time zone. SST, shout out SST. He's a big fan, but he's very negative. He's very, very negative. Honestly, I'd take out Siegs. Oh, look at this. Marcus Buff Bagwell of WCW fame, NWO. Check out Marcus Buff Bagwell, the legend himself of wrestling for you older heads that remember Buff Bagwell. He is live on YouTube now, and he has some great stories. Check out Marcus Buff Bagwell's channel. Some great stories from back in the day. He tells a lot of great stories, a lot of great, just walk down memory lane from that era of wrestling. Some of the greatest and craziest stories. What an era of wrestling. For those of you that liked wrestling, I was a big wrestling fan back in the day, and there was some insane moments, and Buff was a part of a lot of them, and his channel is awesome. He tells a lot of really good stories. So check out Marcus Buff Bagwell. His channel is on fire right now. I'm so glad he finally went on YouTube. It took him some time, but he's on the YouTube telling the stories. Check him out. I could see Siegs getting shipped off at some point. I could see it too, but you never know. Like if someone comes in and really wants Nemitz and makes a crazy offer, he could be the guy too. I'm not surprised by anything anymore. I think he was on the list of guys available in the summer. I said it going into the summer that I thought two of the three of Kevin Ball, John Marino, Jonas Siegenthaler, two of those three had to be upgraded, and they were. And the way the chips fell, Siegs was the guy that remained, and Marino and Ball moved on. How many picks would it take for Ottawa to take Palat off our hands and give us Tkachuk? Oh, boy. I don't think some of you guys would really be mentally prepared if that trade ever came to fruition, what the price would really be. I don't think it's realistic unless if Ottawa, I will say this. If Ottawa is out of the playoffs firmly come trade deadline time, I think the chatter is going to get loud. Now, Brady might say, I'm going to ride this thing out. I don't know how many years the guy could possibly be there and not playing a playoff game before he like really just says, guys, I gave you everything I got, but I'm getting older. It's time for me to start playing in playoff games. I'm standing on the ice and my brother's hoisting the cup with my whole family, and I haven't played in a damn playoff game. Meanwhile, his brother Matthew was in the cup finals the year before and lost, and then he gets all the way back and wins it. And so I think that's definitely had an impact on him. He is tired of being a spectator at the NHL playoffs and Stanley Cup finals, wants to play in it. And if Ottawa's firmly out of it, Brady has a no move clause that kicks in July 1, and he would have a say in his future, and that could potentially handcuff the Senators and reduce the return they could get for him at a future point in time. And so if that is the case and Brady does truly want out, his value will never be higher than it would be either at the trade deadline this year or potentially in the summer, at the draft before July 1, before his no trade kicks in. Oh, plot for Brady, that would never happen, guys. I don't think you guys are ready for it. If that trade was really on the table, it would probably be like something like Nemitz and probably a first rounder and maybe something more, maybe even 2 first rounders. With a guy like that, you never even know. He has a very team-friendly contract, and he's still signed for a good amount of years. And so there would be a bidding war. Half the league would be trying to get him. He's that special of a player. If anyone's taking plot, you're probably going to have to sweeten the pot with a first-round pick, which is not a move you make mid-season. You do that in the offseason right before a signing. I definitely would rather buy him out than give away, tons of stuff for a team to take him. You can't just load up the package to get rid of him. Speaking of Buffalo, they just thrashed the Panthers 5-2. Yeah, I mean, listen, Buffalo has a feisty team. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but I also don't think they're going to be terrible. If they made a playoff push, it wouldn't surprise me. And good for Lindy. I'm not wishing ill will on him. Lindy helped develop these kids we had here. He got us that little playoff taste we had. And it is what it is. Anyway, next season plot, no move clause changes to a 10-team exception. Playoff plot. I mean, yeah, listen, that's where all contracts to be forgiven with a monster playoff performance. And preferably one that ends in a Stanley Cup win. Luke's skating gets him out of a lot of trouble. Yeah, another amazing skater. Sometimes doesn't make the greatest decisions, but that's every guy. You got to take the good with the bad. And obviously, Luke is capable of bringing a ton of offense from the blue line, something you love to see. We said the same thing about Will Butcher. Remember saying he was Rafalski? I'd be shocked if Sheamus Casey turned out to be another Will Butcher. I really would. I'd be beyond shocked, honestly. I don't think that's going to be the case. Anything can happen, but I really think he'll be much closer to a Brian Rafalski than a Will Butcher for sure. Paul Cotter is Miles Wood, except with talent, hockey IQ, good hands, defensive awareness, good skating, and production. He does remind me of him a little bit in the way that they can score and they're feisty, but I do think Cotter is way better skater and he has better hands. I think Cotter's definitely a much better version. Miles Wood would be like a very poor man's version of Cotter to me. The Devils also have the kid they just drafted. He's 6'7". That would be Anton Salayev, an absolute beast. Salayev is an absolute beast, and he's another guy that is going to be a big, hopefully, staple of the next wave of this New Jersey Devils defensive core. And high hopes for him as well. High hopes for Salayev as well. I think he could be a core member of the defense. I just dropped the link in the chat. I actually saw him live at rookie camp this summer at the Rock, but they were playing on the small ice. And so I didn't like it in terms of like getting a real idea of how good he is because they were playing on the short ice and it was really weird. But I'd rather see that than nothing. But he does seem pretty smooth for a guy his size, and obviously being 6'7" is that's a beautiful luxury to have, especially in a blue liner. Xfinity sucks. If you live in New Jersey, you're shut out of watching the Devils if you have the misfortune of being stuck in a monopoly Xfinity area. Yeah, I have all the apps and all the BS. So I don't really I understand it. It is crazy in 2024, the millions of different ways that you could watch a game, how you have to get the subscriptions and all this nonsense. I think someone told me this year, if you wanted to watch every NFL regular season game, you would have to have something like 9 or 10 different programs or services. It's just the content with sports has gotten crazy, and my heart goes out to those of you that have to deal with this. I personally use Fubo. I think that's a very good option for a lot of you. You should look into it. It's not cheap, but I get a lot of good stuff on there. So Miles crashing goalies Woods. I do miss how fun he was to watch, though. Yeah, Miles Wood, he was a scrappy guy. I liked him a lot when he was here. The Avalanche paid him. I would love to have Miles Wood on this team right now, honestly. If we still had him, he would be a nice piece. But I love this team as constructed. Jack did get hurt in preseason. They called it a Charlie horse. I don't think that's what's kind of hindering him at the moment. I think it's definitely more of the shoulder thing. I'm so far behind on the chat because you people, there's millions of comments. It's very hard to keep up with the chat. I'm closing the gap here, but there's a lot of things here. Unless I skip I'm trying to get to most of them. I could skip over the majority of them and catch up live, but I mean, damn, you guys are brutal. Jay Snow 20 minutes behind. He looks at every comment, so it takes time. Thank you, Ron. I mean, wow. Clearly you can't read all these comments. It's impossible. Yeah, and they don't stop. Jack thinks his girl's cheating on him and throwing all his game off. Oh my God, that is the most high school thing I ever heard. I hope that's not true. And if that's the case, then find another girl, Jack. It ain't that hard. It's not that serious. That Blue Rangers color sticker is... Oh, God. Do you think we could see a day where we trade a high-value D-man for another forward? Yes, I could, Gem Card, just because we have a lot of them. I would like to see the D-core at one point have all of the guys, right? So you're talking, Luke Hughes, Sheamus Casey, Shimo Nemitz, Salayev. I mean, that's a great core to have. But with free agency and the ability to make trades, one of them might not be here long term. And if it's for a win now forward, I'm okay with that. I would prefer to try to keep them, but you can't keep everybody all the time. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. Are we gonna have a Perry scandal? Corey Perry slept with Bedard's mom. I'm pretty sure that was debunked. I thought it was basically verified that Corey Perry may have gotten drunk at a team event, but who knows? I don't think the thing about Bedard's mom is accurate, but I do remember when I first heard it thinking that it was absolutely hilarious and wild. I mean, yeah, when you have a veteran, right? A guy like Perry is such a veteran, getting up there in age, and a kid like Bedard, the age gap is so different that you bring your mom around, the veteran on the team might try to get down with that. But I don't think it's true, and I'm pretty sure it was debunked. But I guess maybe we'll never know. That's a total soap opera story. That'd be a great plot line in a hockey movie. I think if they switch up the D-lines and put Casey and Nemitz with more experienced partners, the decision will be more clear on who should go to Utica when we are healthy. That's possible. For all we know, Sheldon Keefe might already be sold on his decision. You don't know. He's obviously privy to a lot more information and sees a lot more than we do in the game. He could be analyzing, this stuff in every practice, and there could be a variety of reasons as to why he wants one guy over another. And there is a good chance that he already has a formulated opinion. But it's going to be a very interesting thing to see how it plays out. If that was the case, Cotter would be going after Jack's mom. Then it would be Perry's situation. Cotter's not that old. The closest guy we have to a Perry would probably be Palat, honestly. I think Palat's the oldest guy on the team. He's 33, as is Brendan Dillon, I believe. It's so crazy as an old man I am now that, I will forever be older than all the guys on the team. It is a interesting thing to think about. Like when you're a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, when you're 15, you're like, oh, some of these guys are 22. They're not that much older than me. Then it becomes like, oh, I am 22, and a lot of these guys are around my age. And then slowly you're like, oh, I'm 28. I'm older than half the guys. Then you're like, oh, I'm 34. I'm older than almost all of them. And now, I'm 39 years old, and I'm like, damn, I'm old. I'm older than all these guys. And now I'm almost getting to the next phase of it. Or I guess I am there now, right? I am old enough to be Sheamus Casey's father. My God. I mean, it would have made me a young papa. I would have been a 19-year-old dad, but let's be honest, there's plenty of them out there. And so, yeah, I'm old enough to be Sheamus Casey's daddy. Absolutely crazy to think about. Timo needs to be on Nico's line. Brad should stay with Jack. Peanut butter jelly time, but we haven't been seeing it. I'm hoping for a resurrection, and I'm willing to shake it up. I'm dropping Cotter on that first line and saying, let's see what we got. I suggested Meyer on Nico's right and Brat on. I suggested Meyer on Nico's right and Brat on Hughes right. Who plays left? Cotter. Cotter is who you put on the left on either one of those. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see Cotter on either one of those combinations. Cotter with Nico and Timo, or Cotter with oh, you're just about this line. Okay. Yeah. No, LeBanc, man, he would have been a great depth guy to have as well. I was in Philly, went in the locker room after the game. I had a media credential. LeBanc had quite the preseason, ending it with a hat trick in Philly, and I knew he was going to get a contract from somebody. I mean, there was a million teams there scouting the game. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out on the channel too. I asked LeBanc a question in the locker room. Really cool night in Philly, and to see LeBanc get the hat trick, I mean, good for him. He went to the path of least resistance in Columbus. He had Blue Jackets sign LeBanc. Like, there was too much. He had to get sent down to Albany for us to make room, for the cap. And there was a bunch of nonsense. And so he was just like, be very easy for me to go to Columbus. No, definitely not a first or second liner, but I feel like he could have been probably a productive third liner. And I would have given him some power play 2 looks for sure. His shot is ridiculous. Ridiculous shot on LeBanc. I'm aware, read that again. Put him on the left with Meyer. On the right would be SJ Chemistry 2.0. Yeah. I don't know. He shot every first always. Positional awareness. If he could produce like the preseason, it would have been fun to watch. Oh, yeah, for sure. LeBanc was a legitimate NHL player. I mean, he wasn't some, inexperienced kid. He's 28 years old, and he played in the league for, what is that, 8 years? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9 years in the league with a lethal shot. He's a vet. He's a young vet that could contribute for Columbus for sure. I would have loved to get him. ZZ, can't wait to see the Bling video. I'm your number one fan, Ace. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a very cool video. I hope you guys like it. It was something I was working on for a really long time, and for it all to come together took quite a while, but I think a lot of you will find it interesting. Some of you are going to be like, this guy's a total dork, but a lot of you will enjoy it for sure. Can't please everybody. GG Ace. Hopefully Jack and Nico add to the point list soon. Yeah, for sure. Ace, very early on this, but put together, oh God, a package for Brady T as we stand right now for the trade deadline line. Brady and Cotter on a line. I think I'd buy season tickets. I mean, you have no idea how much venom and hate and vitriol and things that people sent my way. When I made a ton. I did go overboard with it, but the reality is, if you followed it, Brady Tkachuk on the Devils just makes all the sense in the world, like too much sense. His wife is from New Jersey. They're having a kid, could be close by the grandparents. He's Fitzgerald's cousin. He's boys with the Hughes, very close family friends. And he said he loves them like family. So you could never have, it's almost impossible to have that many ties to another organization, right? Like, your cousin's the GM, your wife is from that state. You're very good family friends that you love like family. The Hughes are on the team. And so all the advantages are there if and when Brady decides that he does want to leave the Senators, that he asks, the Senators to try to facilitate to deal him to New Jersey. With that being said, to me, it's really hard to put a gauge on what the ask from Ottawa would be. I would believe at a minimum, it would be a first rounder plus Nemitz and maybe another prospect, or potentially 2 first rounders and Nemitz. I mean, there was people talking about this summer. I think Chicklets and some others were talking about Nemitz for Brady straight up. Like, Ottawa would laugh at you if that's what you offered. I understand Nemitz has great upside and blah, 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 but in the end, there'd be teams that would offer way more than that. And so I definitively don't know. I would think at best case for the Devil's sake, it would be like a first rounder plus Nemitz and maybe another mid-tier to higher tier prospect. But it could be wildly more. I really don't know, depending on whether teams are involved. And like I said, I could even see 2 first rounders and a guy like Nemitz. But Nemitz, a first and a prospect, I think could kind of be around where it would be. It would be counterproductive to give them any roster players I think, unless you're somehow now trying to, move from Palat in the same deal, and then that could get really interesting. But I'm not going to go too crazy on it. Obviously, I would love to see it. I just don't know. That's why I'm just rooting for Ottawa to tank. That's our best chance. If Ottawa's just so far out of it, that's our best chance for this to even get close to reality. Am I going Monday? I don't know yet. Maybe I might. We'll see. I don't know yet. Nico and Jack need to beef up. Nico is much more solid than he looks. He's very muscular. Jack definitely needs to beef up. He's very he could use some bulk. One thing I really wish we got in the offseason was Asa press pass. Yeah, it may never happen. I don't know. I don't know. I will continue down that road at some point. It may never happen. Teams are weird with some of this stuff. I do find it interesting though how they find some media outlets, worthy of a press pass and other ones not. But I digress. I mean, listen, I'm just going to keep putting out really cool projects and interviews and things I'm working on, and maybe eventually, they'll be like, okay, this is not, 1998 anymore. The media, if you will, or journalism, or whatever the hell you want to call it, has evolved with the advent of technology and time, and so maybe one day your boy will be in there. Speaking of what happened to that Brady guy? Oh boy. Jack enters the ozone so effectively. Needs someone who can get into that ozone. Although he does fumble the puck a lot trying to be fancy. Yeah, I mean, and I said this in maybe the pre-game live. Whenever you have a guy that is so puck dominant and plays with the puck on his stick for that long per game and plays big minutes, right? So he's playing, 20, 21 minutes. He's going to have the puck on his stick a lot during the game. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to some turnovers and things. It's inevitable. If someone, again, he's just playing with the puck for so long, you're going to see it. Let me just see. Oh my God. I hate the way the NHL website is set up, boy. Yeah, they make it. I'm trying to pull up a stat and it's like painful. Box scores. We go to Mr. Hughes. He only played 17 minutes tonight, huh? Oh, their stats suck. I'd be curious now how many giveaways he had tonight. To be honest, I don't think Jack is hurt. He literally drove hard to the net tonight and had some cat player land right on top of him. I think there's got to be something off. I just can't believe that he, looks that different from last year. Skill guys are skill guys. You see flashes of it, but there's a level of hesitancy or something going on there that is altering, his gameplay. Brady has more compete. Brady has some of the highest compete in the entire league. There's not many guys, and that's why I'm so high on him. And if you guys have been watching me again since this whole thing first came about, and I talked about it a lot because it just made so much sense, and I really hoped it happened. He has one of the highest compete levels in the league. This guy wants to win so badly, and the poor bastard has never played in a playoff game. And that's why I'm just going to root for them to tank. And hopefully he lands here. I mean, I would love to see it. It would be hard. Even at the deadline, I think it would be hard without including Palat in a deal, or unless there's a series of other deals done, because to fit him under the cap would be super hard. And so I don't really know the feasibility of it from that angle. We would have to be, I really don't even know. Without moving Palat and possibly Siegenthaler as well, I don't know how you make that work cap-wise. But heading into the draft, all the pieces were there, I thought, to make the deal. Between having the 10th overall, and, a lot of people were throwing Sheamus Casey in the rumors. He was a very valuable trade piece at that time, and I would believe his stock has only gone up exponentially since then because he's now proved it on the NHL level in a small sample size compared to everyone just saying, we think, we hope, yada, yada. He's now doing it. How long before Jack puts on some muscle? It could be a while. It could be never, I don't know. Oh, boy. I'd trade Jack Hughes for Jack. Cool. Movie was awesome. Missed the game, but I kept checking the pin score on my phone. Wore my Devils Letterman jacket and tee to send great vibes to the boys. Amagi, you're minus 5 points tonight. You went to a movie over New Jersey Devils hockey. Shame on you. Shame on you and you probably went with one of your boys too. If you went with a hot chick, I'll I'll accept it. I'll accept it. You're at that age where I will accept it. But if you just went with some of your boys, you're losing 5 points for going to the movie over the game. It's not that I don't think Nemitz isn't a stud. It's that if we're going to have Dougie, Pesci, neither Casey or Kobe, then we can flip Nemitz into a top line winger. Yes. Yes. And that's win now mentality. I'm super win now. But, it will be somewhat painful if somehow we never win a cup, right, with the core of guys you're referring to, yada, yada. And then years down the line, you see Nemitz is just an absolute stud. It would suck. Hindsight's 2020, but I would try to keep Nemitz if we can. And if someone forces your hand with a trade you can't deny, then you do it. And I feel like that's the position we were in heading into the summer, that we had the pieces to force Ottawa's hand. But, they gave Omar that money, and they're hoping he's going to make them a playoff team. And if that experiment doesn't pan out, the Kachuk rumors are going to be rumbling hard. I love Ace. Thank you very much. That video cover made me laugh so hard. What did you see, Amagi? Me and Amagi had a couple brews on Championship Plaza. I had an IPA. It was a little bitter. Obviously, Nemitz isn't going for peanuts. He's a top-rate defense prospect. We just are loaded with talent at the spot. We are in win-now mode. I agree. I would rather trade some other pieces. I do think Nemitz is going to be special, but if the value's there, you guys know I'm a win-now guy. I want to see this thing behind me. You see Marty, and you see Scott Stevens, and you see Marty. Yeah, these are pictures of them holding and hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup. That's what it's about. You do what you can to win now. Markstrom is a win now move. Obviously, we have him for 2 years. If he plays well, we could see him for a third or fourth. But if there's a win now piece to be brought in that costs us Nemitz, then so be it. It just has to be worth it. I don't want to do it just for like an average, this is a good player we're bringing in. I would want it to be something like, earth shattering like Brady Kachuk. And then in that point, I'm doing the deal for sure. Nemitz definite Brady trade or high-end goalie within the next year or two for sure. I do think, Alex, we have a lot of goalies in the system that could potentially be the next guy. Possibly Dawes, possibly Poulter. The Russian kid we drafted, Yegorov, he's going to go play at BU under former Devil Jay Pandolfo. I'm hoping to see him live at some point, maybe this season. The Pawn Stars guy. That is correct. I'm not going to give any more details, guys. Just watch the video. Monday at 7 p.m., your boy bought New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup bling from the Pawn Stars, and you'll see it all in the video. Jack Hughes moment is starting to be a bit of a concern. Yeah, we've been talking about that intermittently throughout this entire thing. My ideal defense is Hamilton, Dillon, Pesci, Hughes, Nemitz, Siegenthaler, but I'd be okay with Kovechkin in for Siegs. And gem card collecting is just totally disrespecting Sheamus Casey, but I get it. I mean, listen, everyone has an opinion. And I'm not mad at any of these answers because to me they're all valid opinions, and they're all, I think they're all good pairings, and I think they're all capable of helping this team win. And so to me, it's just gonna, like I said, really hard decision for Keefe. SST is the Devils' #1 hater fan. I think so, more so on Fitzy, but yeah, he comes out of the woodwork when they lose. You guys all know that's just how he is. He's buff, he's tough, he's the stuff. Yep, he's the stuff, and he is on YouTube telling his stories from the glory years of wrestling. See it from Nemesis' perspective too. Does a #2 overall draft choice want to be marooned on the third pairing for his first 5 years until Hamilton moves on? I mean, unfortunately, we can't worry about people's feelings here. But we'll see. We really miss McLeod in the faceoff department. Can't stress that enough when I talk about the cursed season of 23-24. Amidst all of the crazy injuries that we were having, the Mikey McLeod being banished was another wild one. He was becoming a very versatile, kind of all situations type guy. Insane in the faceoff circle. I believe he was on pace to set an NHL all-time single-season record. If I'm not mistaken, let me see something. I think he was at like 66%. I think he was at 66% last year. At one point anyway. Yeah, he ended the season 45 games played, 652 face-off attempts, 424 won, 65% from the face-off circle. Wow. But McLeod did very bad things. Ottawa isn't going to give you their best player and take on an awful contract. I think there is a world where you could send Palat there. I think there is a world that could happen. You're obviously going to have to make up for it in the form of, draft picks and prospects and other juicy things to make it happen. But I think there is a potential. It's not likely, but it's not impossible. You're just going to have to pay via draft capital and prospects. Brady told me he wants to be a Devil. I wish that was the case. Oilers are overrated. I won't be surprised if the Oilers make it back. I've been meaning to watch that show or that series they did on Prime. It's like a behind-the-scenes thing. I don't know how people keep up. And shout out to all you guys. Thank you very much, especially for those of you that have watched me for a while. There's just so much nonstop videos and content and shit coming out from all angles that it's like overwhelming between the apps and YouTube and this thing and, Prime and all these things. I have like so much stuff I want to watch that I have a backlog, and this is taking up a lot of my time. And obviously I naturally consume tons of hockey content, whether, aside from this as well. But there is a thing on Prime. It's kind of like a documentary series, I think, where they were in the Oilers locker room after they lost Game 7. I've been meaning to watch it for a while. It looks really cool. And it reminds me of what I would call the grandfather of all of this sports reality shit, which was HBO 24/7, which they started with boxing and then later did, the Winter Classic and some other sporting events, narrated by Liv Schreiber, better known as some of you maybe as Ray Donovan. An epic HBO series that kind of really got the ball rolling for all of this. But I've been meaning to watch that on Prime. And let me know if any of you guys in the chat, if any of you guys have watched it. I've been meaning to watch it for a while. Sabres beat the Panthers without Matt, Bob, and Barkov. Yeah, that's probably your 3 best players right there. Or 3 of your top 4 or 5. I guess, Reinhart would be up there as well. As much as I don't want to move Nemitz, we also have Salayev coming in a couple years. If we can get Brady, it's worth it. Yeah, no, I agree. For Brady, I'm basically doing whatever, right? But if we're talking about bringing in a different type of guy, I might not be as inclined to trade Nemitz. But if you're talking about Brady, there's not much that's off the table, in my opinion. I think a guy like that puts us over the hump for sure. I think a team like Utah is exactly what Jack needs right now. A team that plays a similar fast style with smaller, faster skill players. Devils usually played the Yotes well, but yeah, this is a new team. It's a new era. They're in Utah, and they're the Utah Hockey Club. This ain't the Desert Coyotes. No chance we trade Salayev. He's the future of our D. I don't know if he's the entire future of our D, but I don't think we will trade him. But again, if Ottawa comes knocking and Brady's on the table, I'm not saying Salayev's an untouchable. Nemit's going to get a hat trick on Monday and have 20 hits and be a +5. Utica having a rough start to the season. Dawes allowed 7 goals in 2 games. Ouch. I'm hoping to get to a game in Utica. It's such a hike from northern New Jersey. I always wanted our AHL affiliate to play either in the same arena as the Devils or much closer. And over the years, they've been in Binghamton, which is far for me, and Lowell, Massachusetts, which is super far for me, and they were the Albany Devils, which is kind of far for me. Not super far, but far enough that I'm not going to do it regularly. Utica's pretty far. Not undoable. But once you get into that realm of like you would ideally like it to be an overnight trip versus like come back the same night, then it's a whole stratosphere of thing, I'd rather have Tatar over Wood. We talk too much for Ace to catch up. Yep, you do. I mean, 3/4 or 3-4 2-5. It's one egg game and a bad game, and no need to panic over Dawes. Yeah, if anyone has seen any of the Utica games, let me know. Is Dawes looking all right, or what's the deal with him? But I think Poulter is going to have a decent season for them. I really do. Blackhawks are crushing the runners up to the Stanley Cup 4-1 after the power play goal. Okay. I mean, Edmonton also lost 6-0 to the Jets. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Edmonton was doing terrible at one point last year. I know the type of team that, like, once they find their gear, didn't they rattle? They had something a crazy win streak, I believe. And, obviously made it to the finals and ruined my Adam Henrique reunion hope when they traded for Henrique at the deadline. And I had a feeling he was going to like it there. He's a Canadian boy. And anytime you could play on a team with a guy like McDavid that went to the finals, I thought it was a pretty natural kind of progression for him to resign there, and he did. You can get it in a Hulu bundle. Otherwise, it's $12. I don't have all the games, though. Same. I'm 35 now. That must be in reference to when I was saying I'm an old man and could be guys' fathers. Is Sheamus Casey a Calder Trophy hopeful? I mean, listen, man, Tim, way too early. Way too early, but I think it could be. I believe he could be, right? I mean, it seems like, again, every year there's a number one, a guy that, they're trying to give it to. Last year it was Bedard. This year it's going to be Celebrini. Oh, man, he's already on the IR. I saw that he was hurt. I didn't realize he went on the IR. Oof. Same thing that happened to Bedard when Brendan Smith broke his jaw by accident. Ace, you look 30. 39 is crazy. Thanks, man. And that's when I'm fat. Hopefully, I'm trying to get this weight down. It's been a lifelong problem because your boy really loves food. It's the only other thing I love as much as I love the New Jersey Devils and hockey is food. And being born Italian is like a disease, and I'm just stuffing my face. But if I get the weight down, I think I could maybe pass for 30, but I think you're being generous. Maybe the camera feed is a little fuzzy on your end there. Damn, Ace is a geezer. Got to send him to retirement home soon. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, boy, Frank with a loaded question here. What's your story? How and when did you become a fan? I think I'm going to make a full video on this because I obviously, you guys know, I go on tangents and rant a lot and get long-winded and probably put people to sleep. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of the story real quick, and I am going to make a video on this at some point. But long story short, when I was a kid, I played video games. Obviously, everyone plays video games of every sport pretty much, right? I played every sport video game. Casually watched every sport here and there. Hockey, not as much, but occasionally would watch. Obviously, the Devils always were somewhat intriguing as, one of only two sports teams at the time that called New Jersey home, the other one being the New Jersey Nets. Obviously, the Giants and Jets play in New Jersey, but they're the New York Giants and the New York Jets. And so I was like, the New Jersey Nets and New Jersey Devils, they have New Jersey in their name, and was a casual Devils fan. Started watching in 1994 and then met Ken Danico at his restaurant, Mr. Devil. My grandfather was a little friendly with him, and I was at his restaurant one night that was fairly close to where I lived, and I met him there, and Kenny Danico was the nicest guy on the planet, as he still is 30 years later, and went to his truck, came back with a score hockey card that he signed it for me. He gave it to me, and then I would say I think the following week he gave me tickets to go see the Devils play at Brendan Byrne Arena for what was my first NHL game, and they were very good seats. I think like 9th or 10th row. And then obviously for any of you here, I'm sure most of you have been to an NHL game. When you go to an NHL game as a kid, especially, and you sit 9th or 10th row, like that was it. I was hooked. And so I became pretty much a super fan from that day forward, and have been, kind of doing whatever you want to call it, Devils 24/7 since then. Back in the day, you were allowed to go to practice, and that obviously was cool, and the team was so much more accessible. It definitely draws you in, and it cultivated hardcore fans because it was this New Jersey team. They were very good. They were accessible. You could go to practice, and I'd run into these guys all over the place. They all lived locally, and it was a different era, pre-social media for sure, and a better time in America, in my opinion, for most things. But meeting Kenny Danico, getting seats to a game, going to a game live, and then obviously 94, they went on that deep run before they lost to the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals. But you got that little taste of success, and then winning the Cup in 95, and then the rest was history. I've been a hardcore Devils fan ever since. Got to reserve Asa Rocker next to Lindy. Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit older, but I'm not too far behind. I was at the game. The pressure was high. Nice. Cody Skills. Good for you. You witnessed that beautiful game live. Casey has a great shot. His shot is insane. I will say Cotter on Jack's left would be amazing. He can keep up, brings physicality, and can also take a face-off. I'm on board. I would love to see it. There's nothing more right now. If someone was like, if you had the magic wand, like I said before, and I could make one thing happen with this team right now, the one thing I would make happen is Paul Cotter with Jack and Mercer on the right side. But I'm not as attached to Mercer on the right. But 100% Cotter with Jack, and preferably Mercer, but I would accept somebody else on that right side. I, for one, am very excited for the story behind that video, and I think you're a total dork. We could have both. That's fair. That's fair, Stick Figs. Cotter showing leadership skills. Yo, just want to say hey and hope you're doing well, Ace. Also, press pass for Ace. Yeah, thanks, Puck Goblin. Puck Goblin. I don't know how that's gonna go, but I think eventually they're gonna have to let me. I mean, it might take some time, but I'm gonna just keep dropping things that they're just, the credibility is gonna be built up. I know a lot of people think I'm an idiot and I have tons of haters, and bless all you haters too. But obviously I've cultivated somewhat of an audience here, and I appreciate all of you more than you know. And we'll see where we could go. Hopefully it gets the press pass one day, but I still might be sitting here in 3 seasons from now talking about how they're never going to give it to me. We'll see. I know it's early days, but also absolutely loving the Cotter love. Cotter's a beast, absolute beast, and they deserve him. He deserves a shot on the top line. We're grown men rooting for basically kids. Oh, they're not basically kids. They are kids, Jay Snow. Sheamus Casey is 20 years old, I believe. The Devils will trade for a top 6 guy at the deadline. If they have a good season and they look like they're true contenders, I believe they could. But again, cap relief is going to have to come from somewhere. And the first guy I look at, unfortunately, even though he's been playing much better than he has last year, is Siegenthaler. That's a nice chunk of money right there. And the Palat thing it might be a pipe dream to ever move that contract. And so if you're stuck with Palat, where are you freeing up money? The next place, it seems like Siegenthaler. Nemitz has had a rough couple games. Now we're talking about trading him. Louis, it's not as a result of the games. It's just kind of where the organization is in terms of winning and what his potential value would be. For me, it has nothing to do with the games that he's played this year whatsoever. And furthermore, I'm not looking to trade him or want to trade him. I would begrudgingly trade him if the trade made sense and if we're getting a guy like Brady. But I'm not looking to trade him whatsoever. I'd love to keep him. Yegarov is the future. Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys that, he's going to be in the mix as well as Poulter, Dawes, and you're going to have some other guys like maybe Malik, Brennan. There's going to be a lot of guys fighting for the net in the post Markstrom era, and may the best man win. I think Yegarov is going to Boston. I think he's going to play at BU. I'm just trying to see if he is going to play this year. I've been meaning to follow that up. I haven't followed up with the research on that. But I know he committed to BU, so I'm not sure if he is there. Let me just see. Under head coach Jay Pandolfo, 2-time Stanley Cup champion with your New Jersey Devils in 2000 and 2003. All right, let's see. Roster. Oh, my God. This thing's not even in alphabetical order. My God. So he committed to BU. I don't know where the hell he is right now. Maybe someone could pull that up. I can't. He might still be in Russia. If Palat doesn't perform in the playoffs this year, do we buy him out? I think I touched on this earlier. I think he could be a candidate. I think he could be. And I think we calculated it. The hit would be like $1.5 million, I think, for 4 years, which sucks. But in the end, you look at it, that's technically a net cap relief of, you get rid of 6 in salary and pay 1.5 in penalty. So it's a net, $4.5 million salary cap come up. Connor McLeod Nason would have went crazy. You're damn right. Those are 3 heavier, edgier, more violent gentlemen, and that would have been a beautiful line. But McLeod's not here, so what are you going to do? With how much Dougie has been cemented by Devil's social media, I'll take a huge tank from Dougie or some desperate times to get... It'll take a huge tank from Dougie or some desperate times to get rid of him. Professor Douglas is a part of the Devils culture now. Yeah, love admin. I do think he could be a guy that's traded in the last year or two of his deal, depending on how other things go. But no time soon, and not before admin lifts a cup in a Devils jersey. Yo, Ace, what is your recommendation to do before a Devils game? I know there's a few bars around the arena, but is that the best way to enjoy a pregame? I mean, Puck Goblin, I would say that depends on what you're looking for and what your situation is. If you're taking mass transit there or if you have a car, there's a lot of variables, but there's a lot of good restaurants in Ironbound. You get a lot of, Spanish food, Portuguese kind of spots, steakhouses. There's a lot of good food in the area. Or you could just get bar food and beers that are a convenient stone's throw away from the arena right across the street at American Whiskey or Reds. And You know, it just depends on what you're looking for. What do you guys think Jack is dealing with? I think it's something with his shoulder, unfortunately. Have you heard they're selling a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich at the Rock? I have, and you'll see something in a video about that sooner than later as well. I think Jack did a ton of rehabbing over the summer, not a lot of skating, working out. He needs to be back into ice shape. My 2 cents. Fair point. I think that is the case, and unfortunately, that probably kept him out of the weight room and prevented him from lifting and getting a little bulkier. I would love to see that. I think Jack will fill in weight-wise, but as a goal-scoring phenom, Gretzky wasn't a big guy either. Yeah, that was also a different league, though, and people weren't really touching Gretzky. But, yeah, I mean, small guys can perform, but you have to have a little dog in you. You know, undersized guys throughout league history. My 2 favorite small guys in NHL history, or my favorite 3, in no particular order, would be Theo Fleury, for you old heads. Theo Fleury on the Flames was dynamic as a small guy, fiery as hell. Obviously, Marty St. Louis was a legend for the Lightning for so long and actually went into the Hockey Hall of Fame in the same class as the great Martin Brodeur. And Brian Giunta, another undersized guy who was a phenom, holds the New Jersey Devils single season goals record with 48 that I'm hoping to see Jack or Brad or somebody finally get a 50-goal season for the Devils and break that record. Oilers did this last year and tied all-time record for win streak. Guaranteed McDavid and Dry will step up and get a playoff berth. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I'd like to try Cotter, Hughes, Brad against the Sens, if not before. I am fully on board for that as well. Any variation of Cotter and Hughes together, I would love to see. Brendan Smith. Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Bedard, McDavid. Love Danica. Was kind of sad that I see nobody with his name on their Devils jersey at the game in Prague. Listen, as I get older, I'm even seeing less and less Martys. Like, obviously, you're still going to see Martys, but like even Stevens jerseys, in time, they're not extinct, right? But Danica and Stevens jerseys are officially on the endangered species list as of a couple years ago. It's going to take a while for it to be extinction, and quite frankly, if I do 1/10 of the job I believe I have to do in this role of having some sort of audience and talking about New Jersey Devils and also talking about their history, Stevens and Danica jerseys should never see extinction. They might live on that endangered species list, but they should never see extinction. Love McDavid in the documentary, how fired up he was after losing Stanley Cup game. Yeah, I got to really watch it. I've been meaning to watch it. The one thing that's so cool about NJD is the team has a super cool aesthetic, demons, and a sort of style that reminds me of 90s WB cartoons, Chef's Kiss. Speaking of 90s WB cartoons, you see my Taz piece on the wall right there? Little Tasmanian Devil, New Jersey Devil lithograph signed by the great Martin Brodeur. I don't get off for any holidays unless it's Christmas. That sucks. Is Kyer the new Jeff Friesen? Cotter got to do it in the playoffs to be the new Jeff Friesen. Jeff Friesen was a freaking playoff machine that year. Him and Jamie Langenbrunner went off. Completely went off. Who's the Devils legend you think should get more recognition or talked about? Usually I notice if people are asked about Devils legends, it's usually Brodeur, Stevens, Niedermayer, Danica, and Patty. I mean, the 5 retired numbers, right, is obviously going to be what everyone defaults to. When you say legend has weight to it. Devils legend. I'm gonna go my first. There's a ton of guys. I'm not gonna go too off on this too much because I am trying to close the gap on these comments, and I'm getting close here. The first one that comes to mind would be Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux is an absolute friggin' beast. 1995 Conn Smythe Trophy winner as playoffs, most valuable player, clutch goals all throughout the playoffs. Got agitator, hit guys. Guys hated him. Him and Cam Neely battling it out in the first round. Just an absolute warrior, a guy you love to have on your team, hate to play against. Claude Lemieux would be my first answer. And there's a few other guys. You know, there's probably more than a few, but the first one would be Claude Lemieux. I mean, as a Conn Smythe winner and a 2-time Cup champion with the Devils, winning again in 2000, he definitely, I feel like, doesn't get the love and attention he deserves. And he 1,000% belongs in the Ring of Honor. And I'm very curious to see when the team names who the next Ring of Honor guy is. I do think it is going to be either, if I was a betting man, I would think it's Lou or Jacques.
But player-wise, I mean, there's no one more worthy of the Ring of Honor than Claude Lemieux. And there's a ton of other guys that I put in, not the Claude Lemieux category, but the category of guys that deserve to be in the Ring of Honor right below them. And I made a video about that. That was probably a month or so ago. You could check that out on the channel. But I talk about a lot of those guys, and especially the 2 cup guys. I mean, winning a cup is not easy, obviously, as a lot of us know. And to be on a team that won it twice is super special. So to me, most of those 2 cup guys belong in the Ring of Honor. But quick answer to your question, Puck Goblin, the first name that comes to mind is probably Claude Lemieux. Plot most likely will pick it up. He will not get half of his money due to the bonuses on his contract. Yeah. Does Casey playing the way he is make Nemitz, I'm all tongue-tied. It's late. Nemitz expendable? I wouldn't say it makes him expendable, but it makes it a little easier, an easier pill to swallow, at least for me as a Devils fan, if we were to entertain trading him. And again, I don't want to trade Nemitz. I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's going to be a big part of the blue line for years to come, whether that's a new, on the Devils blue line, if we don't trade him, or he could be that for another franchise. Absolutely. And I don't want to trade him. I don't. Would I begrudgingly trade him if the right scenario presented itself? Yes. And the emergence of Sheamus Casey has certainly made that a slightly easier pill to swallow, in my opinion. I'd love to see Cotter and Brady going at it, especially if Cotter wants to stamp his place as a top 6. It's interesting. I love that Taz piece, everything. I love it. It is one of my favorite pieces. Coincidentally, the first time I ever saw, not that piece, I have another one that's like the sister to it, which is a Taz as a forward. And that one's actually, it's from the same series, signed by Marty and Stevens. And the first time I saw that piece was actually in Ken Danico's restaurant when I met him that time I just told you guys about 30 years ago. And it took me years and years to find one. And then years and years later, I finally found one and was able to buy it. One of my favorite pieces because of the memories of it being in Danico's restaurant and, all the times I would see it throughout the years. I went there regularly. Anytime it was my birthday or anything where I got to like pick if we were going to go out to dinner for some occasion, my parents already knew what I was going to say, and it was Ken Danico's restaurant every single time. The one thing that documentary did was make me feel bad for the Leafs. Well, actually, specifically Nylander, tough scene over there. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I will check that out. I'm out to ZZ's. Nice chatting with you, Devils, and thanks to the live Ace. Let's go, Devils. Good night, Devin. Thanks for watching. Yeah, Jay Snow, Holik's right up there as well as a 2 cup guy. Holik, McKay, these are the types of guys that are in that upper echelon to me. That would be an answer to the question that was asked before. Claude, bingo. Yeah, Claude, I think, is underappreciated by the masses for the most part. He's a huge part of the team's history, and he definitely belongs in the Ring of Honor. And I hope he's one of the next players, at least, that gets inducted. Love Oliwa for sure. Def agree on Lemieux. I don't know why Nylander would let them film him chilling at home watching the. Yeah, so I don't know what that is. I have to watch the show. Nemitz just been getting repeatedly and offensively shot. It's game 4. I'm not worried. Lemieux, Riche, McKay, Holik, McLean. Love all those guys. All of them were 95 Cup champions. Lemieux, a 95 2000 champion. McKay and Holik, also both 95 2000 champions. And those are special guys. Johnny Mack will probably get in at some point. He held the franchise record for points and everything for so long until Patty came along. Was on that 95 Cup team that, after getting so close in 94 and losing to the Rangers, they were able to come all the way back and, get it done in 95. And Johnny Mack, the pictures, I'll always remember the pictures of Johnny Mack with Stevens hoisting the cup, and you see Johnny Mack with his fingers up like this. And then there's a couple photos of, the old school longtime Devils at the time, Bruce Driver, Kenny Danico, and Johnny Mack. Great memories. How is Holik not a Hall of Famer? Holik just doesn't have the numbers to justify it, unfortunately. Very good player, but Hall of Famer, you're talking about a different echelon. He played 1,314 NHL games, which is absolutely insane. What a monster career. 1,300 games, 326 goals, 421 assists for 747 points. Yeah, unfortunately, those aren't going to get you into the Hall of Fame, but he was a great player who had an illustrious, very long, amazing career. Very good career. I think Markstrom played pretty well. That second goal early in the second was a blown coverage in front. He'll consistently make big saves to boost the boys' energies when they need it. Yeah, and that's all you could ask of a goaltender, right? No one's going to be perfect. He's going to give up some stinkers sometimes, but in the end, when the game's on the line like it was tonight in a one-goal game, can you make the big, absolute must-have saves? And he did tonight, and I think he's going to give us that all year long. Yeah, I think it's pretty early days for Nemitz and maybe Casey. Best to wait a while more. Yeah, I'm not trying to trade any of these guys. Our defensive depth is crazy. Luke Hughes, Shimo Nemitz, Casey, Salayev. We got that kid Diot. There's a lot of guys. Well, I got to go. See you later, Ace. Let's go, Devils. See you later, Select a Boy. Would love to hear your thoughts if and when would watch a documentary. It would be insane if one of the Devils are eventually in one. Oh, man. The crazy thing is, right, and this is, and it'll never happen. When I was a kid, for a brief time, I always thought I wanted to work for a sports team, specifically the Devils. And then I realized as I was older, most sports jobs don't pay well. And then and aside from that, most corporations have a lot of red tape and bureaucracy and nonsense and politics involved, and personal nonsense you have to deal with. So the dream kind of died. But I will say the one thing I do wish that more teams did was do really cool stuff that doesn't take an outside party to do. I understand, when HBO or Amazon or any of these places come, they come with a vision, they produce the whole thing, they bring in the cameras, so it's much easier for teams to do. But with that being said, if I was given access or had access to the team in that way, granted, it wouldn't be on the production scale or whatever, I would have sick documentaries. I'd be doing a reality series like that every season, and I think fans would love it. Teams don't do it for whatever reason, but again, if you're the Devils, do some sort of reality series, even if it was like a 30-minute, 40-minute weekly episode, or even if you stretch it to an hour. I really think if you pick that up in July, you could make something really riveting that fans would love. But unfortunately, we just get little tastes, little snippets here and there, and it's fine. It's better than nothing. But I do wish more teams kind of embrace that and produce those types of things in-house. Cotter reminds me of Coleman. A lot of people have been making that analogy as well. I think Cotter could be even better. Let me see. What's Coleman's career high on Devils points? It's probably in the 40s. No, he never even cracked 40. I would have thought he did. Yeah. In 18-19, he had 22 goals, 14 assists for 36 points. Yeah, if you're going statistically, I love Pickles, love Coleman. But statistically, I think Cotter could potentially blow that out of the water. I predicted him to have 41 in my preseason video, and it seems like I sold him very short. So once again, I apologize. I thought he was gonna have a breakout career year. I didn't anticipate quite this level of it, but
Paulie. Yo, Paulie. Hey, yo, Paulie.
Yo, Paulie, just dominating. My bad. I meant Mogilny, not a Hall of Famer. I made a video on that too. Mogilny not in the Hall of Fame is absolutely batshit crazy. All former players all believe that Mogilny should be in. A lot of them, I've talked to several Hall of Famers that said they believe he eventually will get in. But at this point, I don't know that I agree. I mean, he 100% deserves to be in. I don't know how he's not. And it seems like there's something more there. Agreed. I'm not sure what that was on. Having used Tumblr, I've seen people. What the hell's Tumblr? I don't even know what that is. I'm old, guys. I've seen people that absolutely melt about a Devils reality series, especially around Heishier. I would love to see one about the whole team, period. It would be awesome. I think every fan would love their team to be involved in something like that. It might take Ovi 2 more seasons to reach the record. His game is very one-dimensional as he's aged. Yeah, he has a cannon blast. I've never thought he's getting it this year. And the reality is it might not be as much of a layup as people think for him to get it in the next 2 years. He right now needs 42. I mean, you would think it's fairly easy, but I could see him having a season where, let me just see something else. Yeah, everyone thinks it's a given. Obviously, I think he will get it. I believe if he sustained some crazy injury, he would come back and play no matter what. Last year he finished with 31. Yeah, and I could see a world where he only gets like 25 this year. It's possible, right? I mean, he is getting older. I could see a world where he finishes with like maybe even 23 to 25, and then you're talking about he now has to get 17. So if he's coming off a 25 goal season this year, right, it might take him well into next year to get it. So I don't think it's as automatic as people think, like for it to happen that quickly. But if I'm a betting man, I firmly believe he gets it by the end of next regular season. But it might be a little bit more of a stretch than people realize. I switched my Oilers versus Devils prediction to Utah versus Devils Stanley Cup final. Hot take: I think Edmonton misses the playoffs. They're lifeless after losing that. I can't see it, man. I just can't see it, Snelly. Draisaitl, and again, they were looking awful at a point last year, and they rattled off an insane amount of wins. When you have that kind of talent, and they have depth guys, and they have guys like Adam Henrique who've been down this road. When you have two top flight talents like McDavid and Draisaitl, to me it'd be hard to ever pick you not to make the playoffs, to be honest. Jersey Roots, how you doing, Ace, and all the other Devils Barbarians? I'm doing well, sir. Cheers to you. I'm drinking a little Surfside. Great victory tonight. Yes, it was. Oops, I mean the fangirls, they absolutely love Heischer. Yeah, I mean, ladies love Nico. All right, my eyes are starting to close on me involuntarily. Great stream. I'll catch everyone soon. Riot and respect. Have a good night, my friend. I wish he wouldn't get the record, to be honest. Interesting. I think a lot of people kind of have that mentality. If I'm being honest, I like Gretzky, but I would like to see Ovechkin do it, because I did see his whole career. I think he's been a monster. He's been one of the faces of hockey forever, him and Sid. But the real reason is I would like to see him get it is because I do believe a lot of those Gretzky goals, not to take anything away from him, he's obviously, the greatest player of all time, or one of the top 2 or 3 on every single list, right? If he's usually number 1, but he did score a lot of those goals in a very different league where like it was wide open craziness back and forth, 10-7 games, 8-5, 6-3, like super high scoring. The goalies looked so small, and their equipment was the game was different. And I feel like, to me, to do it in the era Ovechkin did it, to me personally, is much more impressive. I know people will disagree with that and whatever else, but I do think doing it in the era that Ovechkin did is more impressive, in my opinion, when the goal scoring was way down from that 80s Wild West era. There's a tantalizing prospect of having Luke Hughes, Nemitz, Slive, Casey, a defensive core. Yeah, there is. Jungle Static. That is the 4 guys where you're like, wow. And then you kind of rotate whatever other veterans you could bring in, or whoever it is at the time. Or eventually, when these guys are a little more seasoned, you bring up 2 other kids that are either drafted or whatever else. As a foundation of a defense, those are 4 guys that could be absolutely crazy. Yeah, if Ovi doesn't break a hip or something, absolutely. Wasn't the feeling that Ovi was affected by his dad passing away? I'm sure he was. Utah made the right decision to win now and buy over the offseason. That Dylan Gunther contract is going to age so well for them. Yeah, I think Gunther, well, maybe that was actually before. Let's see. Was leading the league in goals. Dude. Yeah, so now Gunther leads the league with 5 goals. Paul Cotter sharing second place with Cole Caulfield with 4 apiece. Paul Cotter, what a beast. Who would you rather have a cup run if you had to choose one, Crosby or Ovechkin? Oh, Crosby by far. At Snelly, at this juncture, it's not even close. At today's level that they're both at, Sidney Crosby is a far better player, and it's not even close. If you're talking about their primes or something, very different. And then, I would say it depends on what team you're talking about. But as far as today goes, it's not even remotely close. Sidney Crosby is hands and above, way above Ovechkin at this juncture. Different era for sure. Plus, as well, the prospect of seeing an absolute landmark moment as well for us younger fans. What was that in reference to? I lost my. Oh, are you talking about the reality series? I think Sidney all around better player, absolutely. Absolutely. Yo, Ace, what's up? Igor isn't looking too hot this season. Last 2 games, he's letting a bunch of goals. He lost tonight to Utah in OT 6-5. He got abused by Keller on the OT winner. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when I wrap this up in a couple minutes to watch NHL tonight and check on all the catch up on all the other games. I went from, tonight's Devils game. I watched the post game, and that's why I come on with the post game. Off topic, where'd you acquire that hat? That is a great question. Bear with me 1 second. I obtained this hat. I lost my spot. I obtained my hat. It's the sickest hat ever. I love this freaking hat. I bought it from this website. The guy's really cool. He makes super cool shit. There's tons of stuff on his website that I want. And absolutely love this hat. It's my favorite hat. And it's a flex fit. I don't think this exact hat is on his website, but he could custom make it. So I think he shows this design on a different hat. And I just messaged with him and I was like, I have a huge friggin' melon. I have a huge dome. And the flex fits fit me the best and feel the best. Some snapbacks do too, but it's very hard. The flex fits have been like now my kind of go-to hat for hats that I wear forward. I wear a lot of you. If you watch my videos, you'll see I often have a backwards hat on because snapbacks kind of fit my head weird, and so I have to wear them backwards. I like wearing hats forwards and backwards. I'll always kind of switch. But as far as wearing hats forwards, the flex fit is my go-to in my old man age with my monster melon. And I decided to get this design on this hat. But check out, I dropped the link. Tons of really cool shit on that guy's site. Yeah, this isn't helping Shesterkin's case, right? For holding out and ignoring an $11 million a year deal. Pretty crazy. Once playoffs hit, Igor turns into a monster. Rags just have depth issues that deep teams exploit. We'll see. We'll see how they do. Oh, boy. Can you guys imagine a Devils Rangers Eastern Conference final? Oh, my God. Get your popcorn ready. I mean, listen, the Devils Rangers playing in any level, any round of the playoffs would be awesome. But at the highest stakes possible in the Eastern Conference Finals would be amazing. Sydney may be slightly better, but Ovi has better sportsmanship. I mean, I don't think at this juncture, I don't think it's slightly better. I think Sid is much better. Much, much better at this point. Reference to Ovi breaking Gretzky's record. I think a lot of us are pretty sleepy. Just a thank you for streaming tonight, too. Thank you for watching. Big fan of the J hat. Yeah, love this hat. Islanders got shut out by Ottinger. He's a very good goalie. Much appreciated. Yep. If you end up messaging him, tell him Ace sent you. Utah is 3-0 this season. Their D isn't the best they could score and obviously win. Yeah. Hopefully we whip their ass on Monday. Flex fit is awesome. I agree. Yeah, flex fat. It's getting late, guys. Flex fit is A. Rangers tend to poop when the heat is on from what I've seen. I think the Rangers are still going to have a decent run this year. I really do. We'll see how it ends. But I do believe they're going to go in the playoffs. If you guys have not checked it out already, I'm getting ready to wrap up. If anyone has any other random questions about anything, throw it out there in the chat. I'll stay on here for a couple more minutes. But if you haven't seen it, head over to the channel, please, including the shorts. From opening night, I was a absolute monster, just filming all kinds of shit. I have red carpet footage. I have warm-up footage. I have the laser show and the intro video footage. I have the players' introductions onto the ice. I have the players coming out of the locker room that you don't really see on TV. Outside of the locker room, kind of playing around with each other, waiting to go on the ice. Red carpet. Tons of stuff. Head to the channel. Check that out. And then, obviously, my next side project that I was working on that I was alluding to but didn't give any hints is right here. This one's dropping on the premiere Monday at 7 o'clock. Your boy bought New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup bling from Pawn Stars Monday at 7. I'll be in the chat there. Curious to see what you guys think about this one. Igor's going to get the bag. The Rangers not letting him walk. He's a greedy shit. Yeah, I agree. I do think that they are going to end up. He's going to end up, extorting them, and he's probably going to get like 12 or 12.5 million. Crazy. Flex fit hats are the best. Great for the big headed dudes. Absolutely, my head is huge, and so the flex fit is the way to go. Thanks for the consistent streams. Feels good to converse with fellow fans, young and old. Let's go Devils. Thanks for watching, Doug. That's what I'm trying to do here. Just make a little hangout for people like us to just either celebrate or commiserate or just kind of spitball ideas. And that's kind of the idea of the whole thing. And so far, it's been pretty cool. And I appreciate you guys coming out to check out the post game. Or for some of you, once in a while, I'll do the pre-game, depending. But the post game is here to stay. What team from the East besides Devils you think surprises and makes playoffs? And what team from the West surprises and makes playoffs? I mean, I guess it also depends. Who are you going to consider a surprise team? Like, I could definitely see Detroit making it. That might be a surprise to some people. Maybe not to others. Package for Brady. Oh my God, that's hefty. Jungle Static. My God. Oof. That one hurts. And I'm not going to lie, I probably still do it, but that's a hefty package. Nemitz, Mercer, a first and a second. Oh my God, that's a lot. It is a lot, and I probably do it, but I would try my best to keep Mercer, I do think, if you're giving him Nemitz, because then, our top 6 was kind of, we had a real top 4 and then kind of plug threw him in there. Yeah, but I guess, no, I still probably do that. But yeah, that one really hurt. That's a very hefty price. That price would give tons of people straight up heart attacks. Like, people would drop dead if they saw that and tell you that you're crazy. I think it could be in that world. Hopefully it's a little heavy and wouldn't take that much, but I think some people would think that that's beyond reasonable. Be easy, Ace. You're the best. Have a good night, bro. You too. And by good night, I think you mean have a good morning. Oh my God, I've been on here forever. You guys were chatty, and I've just been sitting here. I'm just BSing with you all. What do you use to watch the games? I use Fubo. I think depending on where you are and what you value, there's a different kind of thing, different solutions for everybody. But Fubo has worked out well for me. It's super cool, the stuff you do, especially as a Cool Devils resource. Don't know if it's just me, but I do notice our team tends to get forgotten about in the big stage. I think so. But I appreciate your appreciation. And I'm always looking for suggestions for what types of videos you guys want to see. I'm obviously always going to do some kind of cool stuff at games. That's kind of how this channel started. I never meant to come on here and talk. That was never my goal. But then over time, I was just like, screw it, I'll do it. Because I do feel like a cool hangout spot and something like this, if certain people would value it and like to bullshit with other fans, and didn't really see that in the Devils kind of community. So I was like, screw it, I'll try to make one. But yeah, a lot of other teams have far more resources, or I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but there's more established teams have more stuff in general. It disgusts me to say it, but Flyers, I can see that. Been in a few American sports stores, and almost every other team gets merch, and we don't even notice it when I visit the Hockey Hall of Fame store in Toronto last time I was there. Yeah. Devils are a young franchise. I mean, I guess not anymore, but relatively speaking, compared to a lot of them, like top 6 teams are always going to get preferential treatment. Hockey markets, Canadian teams. Utah is good offensively, not great on the DN. Want to see the Devils place a crisp game in our own end. Hopefully. It was still a little sloppy at times tonight. Hopefully the General Keefe has them tighten that up. I think Edmonton's out, Utah's in, Tampa out, Detroit in. I could see Detroit. That was my pick. Detroit was so close last year. Missed out on the final day of the season. Fubo, F-U-B-O. Fubu was an urban clothing brand back in the 90s, owned by the recently now disgraced Sean P. Diddy Combs. I think owned Fubu at one point, or was heavily involved with it anyway. But Fubo is what I use. I want to see Detroit in, kind of sick of the sight of Tampa. I think Tampa, I could see it happening. But whenever you have a guy like Vasilevsky, I can never count them out. And they have so many veterans. I still don't believe Stamkos left them for money and whatever, but that was an ugly situation. He felt disrespected, and so he decided to move on. Top 5 Devils bar. That one's going to be, that's probably something more geared for a kid, my man, because you know what? I honestly rarely go out. I'm a homebody now, especially in my old age. And like I wouldn't even be able to tell you like even 5 Devils bars period, because I either watch it, I like watching it at home or going to the game. I don't really enjoy watching games out. I like to hear everything. I like to pay attention. To me, you can never do that. I've never been to a bar anywhere where it's like where you could get that atmosphere. I've been to a couple back in the day that had like massive screens and the audio piping on the speakers where I was more immersed, but it'll never be the same for me as if I'm watching in my own home or at the game. I really don't like watching it outside of those two places. Occasionally, maybe I'll go to one of my buddies' houses who's a big Devils fan, and I still don't like that as much as my own house, but once in a while I can accept that because it's still the same, kind of dialed in. But that bar one, I have to do a lot of research because I legitimately don't go. Nufu gives you all the sports cheap. You should check it out. Nufu, huh? There's I feel like these apps and platforms are coming out. There's a new one coming out every day. Like how do you even keep track of all this shit? It's crazy. Devil stuff is literally impossible to find in Canada. When you find anything, you buy it. It's like finding a needle in a haystack in Canada. Snelly, where in Canada do you live? I'm curious. But yeah, I would imagine finding devil stuff in Canada is not easy. And I'd imagine that would go for any team though, right? That's not in your market. Why would they have these sort of things? Nufo has everything, no blackouts. Was it LL Cool J? Or maybe Damon John, the guy on Shark Tank? Let's see. Yeah, Damon John was one of the original owners. LL Cool J has tried to come out and say that he was an owner at Fubu. Huh. Interesting. That brand took off like a rocket when they first came out. All the big name ball players and rappers and people were wearing it. Copy that. I'm in Florida. I can never find the games. Fubu clothes. Haven't heard that in forever. There's almost a religious experience doing a "You Suck" after Devil's Goal, especially for a first-time fan. Felt like an initiation. Loved it so much. Recommended. So Puck Goblin, I will tell you, I absolutely despise that chant. I hate that. I hate saying Rangers suck at games the Rangers aren't playing in. I hate all of it, but I guess it gets people riled up, and you're talking about how much you love it. The "You suck." I personally hate it, and these idiots are still chanting it when we're losing 5-1. You're still chanting "You suck" like we're losing 5-1. That's why I hate it. I hate that chant. I wish it never happened, but the young kids loved it at the Prudential Center years ago, and it's stuck around ever since. Yep, the Shark Tank dude, Dave and John. What was your first Devils game like? How did it feel? It felt incredible. I was sitting in the 9th row of the lower level from tickets given to me by Ken Danico. I mean, shit. I was on cloud 9, stuffing my fat little face with hot dogs that my mother got me. I think I even managed to get a puck from one of the off ice officials or somebody that was in the penalty box. I'm pretty sure I got a puck. Yeah, it felt incredible. Incredible. London, Ontario, home of the London Knights NHL factory. For us, by us. All right, hold on, guys. I got to take a quick piss. I'm going to stay here for 7 more minutes, unless if any of you have any random questions, throw it out in the thing. I'm taking a piss. I'll be back in 1 minute, and then I'm going to wrap this up. But if you guys have good questions, I mean, I don't have shit to do. But yeah, I plan on wrapping it up in 7 minutes. I'll be right back, taking a quick piss. Throw out any random questions. I like the old random questions too. We talked extensively about the game. Any random ass old questions, throw it out there. I'll be right back, taking a leak. Be right back.
right, I am back. Someone else hates You Suck too. Boy, I hate that You Suck. Also, my mom kept buying me food when I was a kid. I hated it. Where was your mom buying it from, Brett? I don't even know where they sold it. I mean, eventually, I do remember at the tail end of it, it was like, in like the Marshalls type stores. I mean, I don't know where you're from, but in New Jersey, they ended up in like Marshalls down the line, but it was originally in like Against All Odds and those kind of stores. Oh, Meadowlands, baby. But I wish we could move back. You Suck chant is dumb too. Yeah, I don't like it. Wrapping up here. Any final questions before I depart? Any final questions from anyone? Shout out to all of you that came through tonight. For all of you that are still here late night, or maybe it's not late, or maybe it's early, depending on where you are. We're worldwide now, baby. Running with the Devils has gone worldwide. We got people checking in from all over. We got Canadians. We got people in London. We got people in some other random countries, people threw out there as well. What am I doing for Halloween? Probably nothing. Honestly, I'm an old man. I probably will at least go with my little nephews trick-or-treating. I mean, that's what you do when you're old, right? It's like, oh, it's about kids. I have no kids. Ace is all about the kids, but not my own kids. I'm about other people's kids, my friends' kids, my brother's kids, obviously my little nephews. So I'll probably end up doing some nonsense with them. They enjoy the trick-or-treating. I'm not sure what they're going to be this year. They're 7 and 5, so they're still doing like fairly babyish nonsense costumes. But we'll see. In a world where the Devils drafted Bo Horvat instead of trading for Schneider, how do you think the Devils will be doing now? We could have McDavid, possibly Matthews, Captain Bo Horvat. Wait, how do you get to that we have McDavid possibly from that, though? If we just sucked? Are you saying, like, if we sucked and then won the draft lottery? I don't know. How do we end up with McDavid from that? You got to stream. I don't know. I don't think it'd be very interesting. Devil's Demon Knight, Bob for apples and shit. Yeah. Well, again, thank you all. Check out some of those videos from opening night, though. Really cool red carpet stuff. On my cameras were basically touching guys. I was right in the front, and as they're walking the red carpet signing stuff, got really cool behind the scenes videos outside the locker room, warm ups, a bunch of cool stuff on the channel. Check it out. That Pawn Stars Stanley Cup bling video coming out Monday night at 7 should be an interesting one. I'm curious to see what people think about that. I'll be in the chat for that. That's a few hours or a couple hours at least after the Devils game ends, 1:00 game that day. If your kid wants to be scary for Halloween, got to teach him a good Scott Stevens. You're next. What a great moment in Devils history. My God. What a great moment. Tanked with Horvat. It's possible. Then you'd have to win the draft lottery too. I'm not really into horror movies. Terrifier 3. One of our regulars here, Amagi Legacy, missed the game to go see Terrifier 3. And I roasted him a little bit for it, missing the game. And then he never answered. I said, if you went with a chick, I'll accept it. But if you just went with some of your boys, you can't miss Devils hockey for that nonsense. But he never answered. So I'm thinking he went with his boys and he's ashamed. I'm going to follow up with him on that. Thanks for the show, Ace. Always awesome. Thank you very much, Jersey Roots. Appreciate you watching. And got McDavid, McKinnon, or Matthews. I mean, now obviously these what ifs are always, fun games to play, right? 3 amazing players in McDavid, McKinnon, and Austin Matthews, obviously. Might be new fanness for me, but if you had to condense the Devils into one moment of pure NJ Devils, Stevens telling the Detroit bench, you're next, is the Devils personified for me. At least that era of Devils hockey, for sure, right? I mean, way different game now, and it's been for quite some time. But Puck Goblin, when did you become a fan? Because you're referencing all these old school things, so I'm curious. Because you said new fanness. What do you mean by that? Because you're referencing, 30 years ago. That 1995 Stanley Cup Finals. What a finals. What a team. So how do you know all this stuff, Puck Goblin? How do you know about all this? Did you do like a deep dive into the franchise? Props to you, because many new fans really don't care about the history. Some like pretend they want to know, but for you to reference your next, that's definitely not a surface level thing you would find easily. So you had to do a deep dive to learn about that. Wait, you're 22 years old, or you became a fan? You became a fan in 2022.
Watch stuff your channel helped. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm always mumbling. A lot of people hate on me for that too. A lot of people are like, this guy always talks about old shit. What a season to come on board, Puck Goblin. How old are you? The 22-23 season was definitely very exciting, and I'm sure ushered in another new wave of Devils fans. Obviously, doing well is always good for business, and going into the playoffs and beating the Rangers is a great thing to see. I'm joining late, but who do you think is the odd man out when Pesci comes back? Gun to my this was a huge discussion, David, earlier on in the video. We talked about this like intermittently for a very long time. I think if you're talking about just Pesci, when Pesci comes back, who do I think's the odd man out? At least temporarily, I would say probably Nemitz. I just can't take Kovacevic out. And so I'm probably going to go Nemitz for right now. Now, could that change over time? Maybe. And if, something changes with Kovacevic, but I just love everything he brings. He's chipping in offensively. He's just playing very smart defensively. He's physical. He sticks up for his teammates. I love the dude. And so I can't take him out. And I think I would sit Nemitz, but it's hard. It's super hard and not an easy answer. But if I had to just pick, right now, my answer would probably be Nemitz. I think Jamie Langenbrunner, number 15, ever gets retired. No, 100% will not get retired. But, well, I take that back. No, it'll never. Brain fart. It'll never get retired. He does belong in the Ring of Honor, though. Jamie Langenbrunner, he has slept on from 03. Monster playoff run for Jamie Langenbrunner. One of my favorites. Doesn't get enough credit for his time with the Devils. Another one of the guys that definitely belongs in the Ring of Honor. And what a monster playoff. He had 18 points in that 03 playoff run, tied for the team lead with Scott Niedermayer. Boston and Tampa's nightmare that year. Oh, dude, he absolutely destroyed both of those teams. He had a great playoff overall, but the first two rounds, I believe he had like 4 game-winning goals. One of them was in overtime. He just had tons of big moments the first half of that playoff run, and he had some contributions in the third and fourth rounds as well. But primarily Boston and Tampa, he just crushed them. I'm 29, not a spring chicken. Was a longtime soccer fan before I gave hockey a chance. So glad I did. Did a sort of taste test for a few other teams, but the feel of when a team hooks your heart. Yeah, I get it. Better late than never, man. Welcome on board. This team's going to have a great year. If you ever have any questions about anything Devils related or Devils history, obviously come on the lives, email me, whatever you want. Always here to talk Devils hockey with fans and especially younger fans looking for, or newer fans, I should say, not younger, newer fans looking for some sort of info. I'm 23, became a fan after Parise scored in the gold medal game in the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, found he was on the Devils, and as an NJ native, instantly fell in love with the Devils. And this, Doug, is exactly to the point of why it is so important for the NHL to be involved in the Winter Olympics. I mean, you're just a perfect test case right there, right? It is crazy that you didn't even know Zach played for the Devils. You saw him score that big goal in that moment, send it to overtime before Sid broke our hearts. But there's no better marketing for the game of hockey than the Olympics. And especially when USA is good, it is just you can't recreate that type of marketing any other way. The international stage for USA, for the country, a lot of people watching, especially the gold medal game against Canada. And you're just another case, Doug. It's a perfect right there. You became a fan after that. I mean, it doesn't get any more obvious than that. Then that is, in a nutshell, exactly why the guys need to be playing in the Olympics every year. And I'm so glad they're back, and I hope they never try to push them out again. And I'm hoping to be at the 2026 Olympics in Italy. I think Let's Go Devils podcast was waiting for you to finish. They just went live. Jeez. Let's Go Devils podcast was waiting for me to finish. I didn't mean to be on this long. I don't know if that's true either. They're older guys as well. They probably had things going on and maybe kids to tend to. I don't. And but shout out to Let's Go Devils podcast. Another OG fans that have been through the glory days and the subsequent terrible times and all of that stuff. Yep. What's up with Sal and Kenny bagging on Casey during the intermissions? I missed that. It was the first hockey game I had ever seen and fell in love with the sport instantly. I mean, Doug, what a great birth into hockey. I mean, that was a phenomenal game. It's unfortunate we couldn't get the win, but it was a great game. I have heard talk they expect the USA in future to potentially overtake Canada as a hockey powerhouse. Thoughts? My thoughts are Canada's never going anywhere, but do I think USA can give them a run for their money? Absolutely. USA is going to be filthy loaded. Just Google, even for the Four Nations face-off, right? Instead of the All-Star game this year, they are doing a Four Nations face-off with the 4 teams are going to be USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden. So it's like a little baby version of the Olympics instead of the All-Star game. The All-Star game has sucked for years, and I'm so glad they're doing this international best-on-best tournament. You're going to see a kind of rough draft of what Team USA could look like, and it's going to be filthy. The Kachuk brothers, probably, or at least 2 Hughes brothers with Quinn and Jack, potentially Luke, but I'm hoping Luke makes the Olympic team. He might not make the Four Nations team, but Austin Matthews, and you look at the defenders. I mean, they're loaded, and I'm hoping for big things from them. Hughes and Matthew Kachuk on a line for Four Nations is just unfair. Yeah, it is. I want to see it badly. Brady Kachuk as well. And maybe we could get in his ear and start that movement for him to want to come here. He's still going up late after a big dub. Yeah, I'm fired up, and you guys have been super chatty. So appreciate everyone coming by, and I've been, rambling on. Imagine a full Hughes Kachuk line in the future Olympics. Oh, I could see it. I could absolutely see it, and it would be beautiful to see. Jack Hughes with the brothers Kachuk on the wings. Ooh, sign me up. Vitek looked great in his debut in SJ, saved 28 of 29 versus Anaheim in a 2-0 loss. Wow. Brutal when you don't get the goal support. Hughes, Kachuk, Hughes, and Hughes. Wow. That would be something. That would be something you'll never see again. I mean, that I could definitively say. If that happened, you would never see 2 families make up 5 guys on the ice at once ever again. It's unprecedented stuff. All right, guys. And now I'm starting to fade. I'm calling it now. My wild hot take is the Sharks are going to make the playoffs. I'm kind of adopting them as my West Coast team to root for just because I have no ill will towards Mac Black to Blackwood. And, Toffoli's there. I like Toffoli. He was a good soldier for us while he was here. And they have some other guys, Zetterlund and stuff. All right, but that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Head over to the channel. Please check out some of my videos from opening night. I'll be back soon. We got a big one Monday at home. I don't know if I'm going yet or not, but thanks, Ace. You're a trooper. Good night. Yeah, thank you all. Check out that stuff on the channel. Monday night, we got the big Stanley Cup Pawn Stars Bling video debuting. And that's it. That's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Big Devils win tonight in Washington. Devils taking out the Caps by a score of 5-3 with a 3-assist night from Eric Holla, a 3-assist night from Stefan Nason, and a 2-goal night from Paul Cotter. Life is good. Life is sweet. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.